your little things would stay on the ground after you would
Oh
click the
yeah.
thing, like the survey things. I guess that's finally fixed. That was so. It was like it was annoying, but it was also kind of cool. Back in like the first week of Cata,
They fixed it. They fixed it now. No one's doing archaeology. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No one's doing this shit anymore. Let's get it working.
I got Sinrock in 75 troll souls, so I never noticed it.
Ooh.
I got it in 3.4K.
I got it in an hour of being 450. My girlfriend got the healer trinket literally first solve at 450.
Not bad.
Well, I'm
Not
done.
bad.
We should be live. I can't see it. Yeah, no, we're there. We're there. I don't think it's actually worked on Kick for some reason.
Uh-oh.
Doesn't matter. I've got no idea why it hasn't worked, but yeah, it's just YouTube tonight by the looks of it. Cool. Just give it a sec. Is it working?
Yeah, I see it on YouTube.
We are live, yeah.
Yeah, we're live. All right, cool. All right, well, hi everyone. Yeah, everyone in chat and guests, and I suppose Go as well.
Oh, thank you. It's great. Jesus. Can we start over? Can you end the
Yeah,
stream?
yeah, let's start again. Let's start again. Yeah, we'll go from the beginning. Hi everyone. Hi everyone in chat and our guests, which we'll get to know in a minute, and then Go.
Oh, perfect. Scotty, thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me back on for the 56th time. I just threw a number out there. I don't know how many episodes we have. We should keep track, though. I got to go back and go through the logs and see what number episode this is. But it's the second episode that Rihani is on with us. Rihani, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
And we've also got a brand new guest for this show, but has been a guest on other shows, such as Countdown to Classic with the Australian wonder, Josh. So, Jugs, nice for you to join us here on Cata Chat.
Yeah, appreciate having me.
Hi, guys.
And Scotty. Yeah, hope you're doing good, Scotty. You haven't been streaming as much as I would like. You know, I like being at work and hearing your voice, so I've had to go over to Riggs' stream so I can get my Scottejaye raid leader voice fix. You know, like, guys, what the fuck?
Well, once Majay's back from his holidays, I will be streaming a lot more. But yeah, at the moment, while I'm having to, like you say, rage while raid leading, I'd rather people on stream think I'm a nice person. Even though that's bullshit. But no, yeah, I've not been streaming as much, but I've been absolutely no life in all things WoW. Actually, more than just Cata. Yeah, we'll get into what we've all been doing, and I'll touch on all of that. But I'm doing well, mate. Thank you. It's there's just a lot going on, as I say, like with the Euros. I know some of you may be interested, some of you not, but obviously been watching every single game of the Euros. When I've been streaming, I've even had it on Kick, which probably frowned upon, but I've been doing it anyway. It's going home, yeah. It's not the World Cup. It's Euros 2024. It's
just European teams.
Just European,
right? So,
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But it's been very good.
All right, well, we've gotten to know Rihani a little bit, but we need to do some catching up, and we also got to ask Big Jugs a couple questions to get some background on Jugs. So I don't know where to start, Scotty. Who do you want to derive all the questions at first? The hard-hitting questions.
Well, I think let's grill Jugs. We do know a bit about Rihani, but we'll catch up with Rihani and find out, you know, how his Cataclysm's been since we spoke to him last. But I feel like over the 10 hours of the podcast that we've done with him before, I know him as well as his girlfriend does.
Better.
Better, yeah. So go on, grill Jugs, kick us off.
So Jugs, I believe you were in the race to world first for the tier 11 for Cata. So if you want to start there, like how did that come about? Did you just start? Was that your first race to world first? How people are gonna complain like it's not the world first. No, that was 12 years ago. But yeah,
right.
like what's your background in those sort of races in WoW?
Sure, yeah. I was a retail player until Classic came out, so I was always kind of top 10, top 20 Mythic raid types until Classic came out. So mid BFA, I kind of quit retail to jump into Classic. So I was a day one man cricker, and basically until Cata, I had been on that server for a long time. Started out as Alliance, and then played basically an Alliance warrior and an Alliance and a Horde warrior throughout Classic, and then kind of went full Horde in TBC through Wrath and everything like that. But unfortunately, I guess you could say, the kind of private server and Cata community was kind of more about speedrunning. I'd never really cared about speedrunning, but it was kind of like, hey, if you want to play it higher levels and not necessarily being like a parse guild, then you're probably speedrunning, which is pretty much what I ended up doing. So I was in a couple guilds throughout Mancrick's kind of history, and then Antiquity through most of Wrath. But yeah, so we didn't really do too much on like the prog race. We tried to do well when it came to NA, at least kind of progression, but generally more focused on it as speedrunning. So this was kind of the first bout with trying to make a dent in progression, because kind of the mindset about Cata is speedrunning is pretty much dead. So it's really just progression and I guess parsing. Yeah, I'm one of the kind of 3 co-founding officers of Variable. We've only been raiding together for about 5 months or so, so relatively new. Some of the folks have played together in various other guilds and servers, but generally speaking, we're a pretty new guild. So we're trying to see what we could do for T11. Our expectations were, generally we're going to do the best we can, but with the understanding we're a new guild. With more of a focus on let's push really hard to do well in Firelands. So we ended up doing decent on the race. We had a couple hiccups and wipes that really kind of cost us. I think we could have taken at least NA1 had we played a bit better, but we still did pretty well. I think we were world 5th or something like that. But yeah, it was fun to jump into it and make a a showing and kind of a debut. But yeah, we're looking to push pretty hard for T12.
How would you compare Cata raids with like retail raids that you did before you started playing Classic? What was that? Was that Dragonflight you said? And when you made the switch over?
No, it was BFA.
BFA.
Back in BFA. Yeah, mid BFA.
Like BFA raids compared to Cata raids, how different are they?
It's definitely starting to get to that point where there is more mechanics. There is a bit more personal responsibility, where a single person, depending what they're doing, can, wipe the raid, whether that's, you're on Ascended Council and you suck at kiting the Frost Orb and it hits you and you wipe the entire raid, or something like that. It's starting to get more and more to that point, especially as we move into MOP and finally start to scratch on Mythic level stuff. But yeah, generally speaking, there's just kind of more and more mechanics that get thrown in, things that need to be coordinated, things that require a lot more personal responsibility. I feel like Cat is kind of more of that jumping off point.
Yeah, ask Scotty about people missing kicks on Nef.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, that also can definitely be a problem. Sorry, was you trying to be funny?
No. I was trying to kind of lead it to you for the next question. I got 2 in there.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'd like to know just in terms of raiding so far in Classic. Do you think Cata has been like the pinnacle of it so far for you, or did you prefer Wrath raiding or TVC raiding, or?
I think I prefer more Cata-esque, like as we kind of move closer to retail. I'm not really a fan of a boss dies in 15 seconds or a minute or whatever, and it has 0 mechanics, and you're just sitting there, and every fight's like patchwork, or every fight had mechanics, but nobody really even knows what they do because you end up killing it fast enough that they don't even happen. So it's nice to at least, start to get to the point where you actually have to deal with some things and play around some things, and there's strategies involved. So I think that's nicer. Like that's why, I'm not really too interested of like diving back into previous expansions and classic and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, a boss dies in 15 seconds, and that's not fun for me.
So not been
So-
playing any Season of Discovery?
I hadn't. I played a bit of it when it first came out, but honestly, I've just been busy with either, it was like speed running and stuff, or with Cata prep, because as I mentioned, part of the push to make a debut on T11 Prague and stuff like that was a lot of prep, a lot of practicing T11 raids before it came out and things like that. So a lot of the time was spent doing those things. But I would say Classic it's not really my jam. It was nice to do it again and like, go play through it, but it's not something I would be like playing over and over again.
So
As far as
Scotty,
level 60 content.
you're live on Twitch, right?
What?
You're live on Twitch right now. Welcome Twitch to the first Twitch
I think you're live on
episode of
Twitch.
Am I
and-
live on
Cata
Twitch?
Chat.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even know. I don't even know how that's happened. How have I ended up live on Twitch instead of live on Kick?
And the Twitch primes are rolling in.
Right. I mean, that's really awkward. I don't stream on Twitch. Why am I here? All right. Well, I guess we're just rolling with it. I'll make it so you carry on, and I'll make it so you can see the chat at least.
All right. Well, this question might be for both of you. I was wondering, are the classic strats a lot different from the private server strats for the tier 11 raids? Because I know there's the 20% debuff, like 20% less damage or something like that on the private
dampening,
servers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like, does that change some of the strats because of that buff on private servers, whereas now on classic, those fights might be a lot easier?
I didn't do a lot of private service, so you go ahead and
Okay.
take this one.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I think either it comes down to like already now you're starting to see people are able to like drop healers. It's maybe not necessary to have 6 healers or something on every fight. There's a lot of strategies that might differ just because like the mechanics just are straight up different. Like things don't happen the way they do or interact the way they do, or like you're not able to do certain things, whether that's like mechanics or how mobs are dealt with. Like maybe they're immune to something on one server and not on another, or just things like that. Or timings can be completely different. Some of the values can be different based on, are they pre-nerf, are they post-nerf, are they somewhere in the middle? Like what are those things? Can change a lot. So it does kind of change, but I think generally speaking, if you're dabbling in private server stuff, it's probably more for general raid experience and kind of high level strategies and things like that. And then you'll probably end up fine tuning a lot of the things when you're testing things on more Blizz like servers, like PTR betas, stuff like that.
What about like pathing? Because I know that was a thing. I forget which expansion. I was trying to really focus on like the race to world first, and it seemed like there was some pathing differences on the private server, whereas they were doing it on beta. So did you guys have any pathing issues when you were trying to do the race, where you were trying to like skip mobs or something like that, and you weren't able to because it was different?
I don't think so. Not really. I think for a race, what a lot of the more higher end guilds end up doing was they would have other raids kind of pre-clear a lot of the trash for them anyways. So they were able to just kind of zone into, BOT or something, and all the trash up to Helpless was already gone or something like that. Or similar with BRD or BWD, sorry. So it kind of depends. I think maybe sometimes you can run into a situation where like a mob on one server sees stealth and it doesn't on another server, or even like, yeah, the detection radius or the hitboxes are different. Maybe a boss on one server or like a mob can't be distracted, but then it can on a different one. So like some of these things can be a little different. It's just you kind of have to figure it out as you go.
All right, I got one more question for you. What classes are you playing? Because you mentioned warrior, but is there anything else? Or you have like an alt mage or something like that? Strictly melee? What's your play style like?
I've always played everything, so I dabble in a bit of everything. In Wrath, I had one of every single class max level that I rated on with 2 warriors. Right now in Cata, I have 2 warriors, a shaman, a hunter, a priest. At 85, and probably gonna do maybe DK or mage next, but I like to dabble on a lot of different things, multiple roles, so melee DPS, range DPS, healers, tanks. I feel like it also kind of just makes you a better player when you're able to understand all the roles, the intricacies, dependencies. Like I feel like it makes a better tank player when they understand what it's like as melee DPS with like positioning and things like that. So yeah, I don't know. I like playing everything.
Yeah, Scott's been playing it all right now, and he still plays like shit.
Yep. One day I'm hoping to get good. I've been trying since 2004. It's not happened yet, but I'm sure the day's coming. Do you have any plans to play War Within at all, or are you done with retail, like full stop since BFA?
I might dabble back in BFA. I tried to get into Dragonflight here or there. I just feel like with all of the like systems and kind of power creep and borrowed power systems and things like that, it's kind of hard to just jump in mid expansion and not feel a little overwhelmed with everything. So typically if I'm gonna like jump into retail or something like that, I prefer to do it at the beginning of an expansion. So I'll probably do that with War Within. I'll give it a try and see. It just kind of depends what our T12 prep looks like and things like that.
Yeah, that's fair. Cool. I mean, he's amply grilled. I do apologise for being slightly distracted at the start there, but yeah, I still have absolutely no idea I'm live on Twitch. I didn't even sign in or anything. Like, I just don't know how that's possible. So yeah. But anyway, everyone on Twitch, hi guys. It's nice to see you all for the first time in about a year and a half. Cool. All right, Rihani. It's been a while, man. I know you was extremely excited for Cata. You make some great Cata content, and we had a very, very, very good talk when you was on before. How's it been treating you?
Cata has been good. Cata has been good. It's been consuming a lot of my waking hours, that's for sure. And it's funny because I feel like the beginning of the expansion is such a hype phase, and everyone is they want to consume content and play the game, but all of the content creators just kind of fade away during those first few weeks where they're playing the game themselves. And I think now we're finally starting to land in a position where it can raid log a little bit and start doing content again. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun, especially that launch experience is great always. Doing the opening raid, even though I'm in a proper dad guild, we still did midnight raiding, no, I've been enjoying it a lot so far. I can see definitely that I will probably at some point not enjoy it as much, but I think that's kind of the nature of any expansion, classic expansion, where we go from a very hype phase to a maintenance phase where we raid log and maybe dabble in a bit of an alt and get some excitement during a new phase, and then the next expansion prep begins, and the cycle continues once again.
Yep, I agree. I'm trying to break that cycle, and obviously I do want to get into a bit of what we're all doing and what we're in and out of WoW. It's fine if people have been doing, like, I don't know, if you've been on any of your weekend trips with that man that you sleep in a tent with. I didn't want to make that sound as weird as it did, but I just can't help but picture both of you snuggled up together in a one-man sleeping bag, topless, talking about WoW face to face. like this close to each other in a sleeping bag, talking about how big your druid is. Anyway,
My druid is bigger than yours.
yeah.
I don't know if I said anything about it because we went on a hiking trip. He's talking about Griff. So me and my buddy Griff, we're both
I'm just
druid
jealous.
players. He's a feral. He was playing Shaman in Season of Discovery. We've gone on 2 backpacking trips together. So that what was it? Launch week? The weekend after launch. So it launched on what, a Monday, right?
Mhm.
I think I went on a 3-day trip with him.
Oh yeah.
Backpacking, so it was fun. It was fun.
Oh, sure it was.
I haven't done another one since. It's usually like maybe twice a year that I'll do a backpacking trip.
Yeah, you have to tell us though. Tell us a little bit about it later. You know, when you was both in a sleeping bag, snake weaving together. We'll get onto that. So yeah, let's just talk a little bit about like what we've been up to. Yeah, on what classes, like Jet progress. If you want to talk about your progress, I mean, on the basis Jugs finished like world 5th. I'm pretty sure we can probably guess he's at least 4 of 13 heroic. So you know he'll be able to spoil that, I'm sure. Go, you kick us off for a change. What have you been up to, mate?
Put me on the spot. I'm not used to going first. I have been conquest capping every week, so I did a couple 2s earlier today with Riggs. He was blood DK, so we had a little blood DK boomy action. And I think we went 13 and 13. So we evened out. It was his first time stepping foot in arena in Cata. He had 0 resilience gear, so he was trying to tank the other 2 players in his full PvE set. And it worked some of the matches, but I'm up to 10 out of 13 heroic myself on 10 men. We just need council. We've been skipping because I think it was in the pre-show we were talking about it. And Jugs was like, yeah, there's not really that much good loot from council. So yeah, we've just done it at normal the past 2 weeks, and then had some Sinestra Parag last night for the first time. That was kind of interesting. We had about 45 minutes on there trying to figure out phase 1, the cutters, the eggs, the whelps, all that. It's a pretty fun fight, but might take us another couple of weeks to get that down. And then Nef, yeah, we haven't done Nef, but we have done Cho'Gall, all the other ones. So it's been fun. Cat has been fun for the heroic raids. I didn't know what to expect. Everybody was like, oh, it's going to be super, super hard. And then there's the occasional fight or 2, but as a ranged DPS, I haven't had to really worry about too much. It seems like a lot of responsibilities on people doing interrupts, tank positioning, like taunting, a lot of healer cooldowns and stuff like that. So as a boomy, I just get to go in there and blast, and I'm glad I can do that because that's how I like to play. I don't like to support that much. I pop out and do tranquility sometimes, you know, if the raid's struggling, especially Cho'Gall, like that last phase there. I'm helping out a little bit where I can, but I like being able to just sit back and pump.
Cool.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I've really done here.
Have you been on any Season of Discovery PTR or anything? I mean, you're pretty much, out of me and you're the Season of Discovery enjoyer. So, well, nowadays. Although I've been on SOD quite a bit. Well, 20 minutes yesterday, I think it was.
I was on the PTR that first day. I haven't been back. I tried to go in there and solo some like dungeons and stuff to see if they had tuned up the difficulty of the mobs in there, and they have. It feels pretty much like in Classic if I were to go in there at level 60.
Hang on, what was it? Was this when you? Sorry, I got to interrupt. Was this when you went and done strat? Because I was watching you and you done that.
Yeah.
I lurk whenever you're live. It's really annoying because like, sometimes I just can't be asked to talk to you because, well, you know, it's you. But yeah, I watched that strat and that was one of the best things I've ever seen. You travelled all the way over there, which took you about fucking 3 hours, and then when you got there, you walked in and died on the first pack.
Yeah. I was like, this sucks because like they gave you template characters but with no flight pass. So I was like, so I gotta fucking run to the dungeon? Like, come on.
And you was having to take advice from Zach of all people, telling you to get the flight path.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna run over there and get the flight path. I'm never coming back to strat. But I had a blast doing some duels out front of Orgrimmar. Like that was my highlight of PTR. So once they drop something else, I think tomorrow they hinted at there being another like update to the PTR. So maybe there'll be another hype wave tomorrow through the weekend. So I might hop back on there then. But I tried to get on to Sod and do an Arathi Basin. I sat in a queue for an hour and a half, and I was like, well, fuck this. I'm just going to bed.
Well, we've got no sod. There's no like all the topics that we've got going on today. This is more for the guys watching rather than us lot. But there is no topics about Season of Discovery at all. So just while we're on it, does anyone feel like there's any hype around Phase 4 at all? Like from anywhere?
A little.
No, I feel like it will come though. You know, it still feels very far, you know, out of our reach, and you know, we love a little bit of a trigger word here, fresh experience, and you know, doing that bit of leveling and jumping into our first 60 content. I think a lot of people are gonna get on the hype train, especially once they start seeing content about it and stuff like that. That being said, though, I think this is the least hyped phase so far, just because of how bad Phase 4 or Phase 3 was and how long it's been. And yeah, personally, I'm not feeling any hype whatsoever.
I've just had so many people, right? Like people from the guild that I know have played all the phases and actually been, you know, genuinely really enjoying every phase of Sod. That are like, I'm not going to play it. You know, like so many of them are not even bothering with Phase 4 when you would have thought that this is like the phase that matters. You know, it's when you're actually going to start doing the proper end game raids and that. And yeah, I just find it strange. It's actually the one where I'm seeing more people turned off by it than actually wanting to go and play it. But it could just be the people that I talk to, obviously. You know,
I feel like it took too long to get here for a lot of people, and I feel like there's the constant divide of. It seems like not a lot of people can come to a consensus or, you know, how they define what like classic plus, you know, in an umbrella term is. It's like different for everybody. Some people don't want the like, give me all these crazy abilities and change my classes. They're like, we want pretty much the same as classic, but just new content, like new raids, new dungeons, finish these old quest lines, all of those things. That's their idea of classic plus, not necessarily, you know, crazy new additions and abilities from future expansions and stuff like that. So it's very different. Maybe there's a world in the future where we have some kind of seasonal, you know, things are kind of wild, like Sod, like Mop Remix kind of thing. And then you also have like a true classic plus that is more original in that sense. So like right now, I feel like it's a bit all over the place. So I don't know how excited people are going to be when it's like just, you know, Molten Core. That being said, you know, it is a different size. There's new like tier sets and stuff, and new different difficulty versions apparently. So like maybe there's some cool stuff, but I feel like people were kind of interested to see what a new Scarlet Monastery thing is, or Karazhan Crypts, or like things like that haven't surfaced yet. So I guess it would be interesting to see when things like that do pop up, if there's a resurgence of players or not.
I gotta say that in Phase 1, with the limited amount of extra stuff you had, it really did feel, to me at least, like a bit of a Classic Plus. But man, now you're gonna have literally every single slot with a rune, and it's just bloat, and you're playing a whole different thing. Now it just feels like a private server to me. You know,
like Turtle Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been doing a bit on it, and sorry, actually, let's we'll leave me till last. Let's go on to Rihani. So what have you been up to? Are you all right, Go? That about covers what you've been doing.
I mean, I had a really great.
Yeah, that covers it. So if you want to go Rihani next.
Yeah, I had a great interview with Apathy. I have to just mention that huge Balance Druid player in Cata Classic. He's in Subtle's guild, actually. I didn't realize that. I was looking up like top rank Balance Druid. I was going to dive through the logs, see what they were doing. And then I was like, yo, this dude's got like rank 1 on multiple boss fights right now. And I clicked on their logs and I was like, yo, Rugs? What? Subtle? Huh? And I reached out to Subtle and I was like, yo, can you see if your Boomy buddy's down to like have a chat? And we had hour and a half conversation the other night. Everything you need to know about Balance Druid. Check it out on my YouTube if you're interested in playing Balance Druid. So now that I'm done with my plugging, we can send it to Rihani. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it, Rihani.
I got as well. You got to give some of my love to, in addition to your own love too, of course, to Griffin, because I gotta say I watched a lot of his content in TBC, and I miss his presence on YouTube. So to send him my love.
Will do, man. Yeah.
While you're pegging in it. While you're pegging in and sleeping back.
Next time I'm balls
comparing,
deep.
tree tree forms.
That's going to be the weirdest thing ever when he's spooning you in a sleeping bag and you turn around and go, Rihani said hi.
Rihani says hi.
Oh my goodness.
Go on, Rihani, take us away. What have you been up to? What characters you got? 85. What you're raiding on? All that jazz.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna do a little bit about what I've been doing in Cata, a little bit about IRL, a little bit about YouTube presence, and I'm gonna take a little dig at you, Scotty, too, and as we get to the last stage of this
let's do it, man.
little segment here.
Start off with it. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's
Get out of the way.
Okay.
Get out of the way while I'm getting a beer. I'm listening.
Let's get it out of the way. So I was gonna say part of my my Cata experience now has been to have all of my alts being leveled up through having some rested experience, and I've been doing that leveling in Halls of Lightning.
Okay.
And I remember watching a video of yours
Saying that Blizzard would
Yes.
fix it. Yeah, saying that Blizzard would fix it. Sorry, should I have not put faith in Blizzard to understand how their own game works? Is that what you're saying?
It was just so hilarious because you said, like, are you going to be able to level in Halls of Lightning? No. We've seen some content creators make videos about leveling in Halls of Lightning. I did a search on YouTube. It was literally only me who had done it. I'm like, oh,
Yes.
Scotty.
Yeah, well, I can tell you now, it wasn't aimed at you because I hadn't seen it. But I'd been told about it, and me and Subtle spoke about it on this podcast. That was where it actually came from. But it shouldn't have been possible. Like, we done it. Obviously, we practiced. We got 3 server firsts, so we leveled as a 5-man and got 3 server firsts. But our plan was to do Halls of Lightning. It was only when we realised actually it was slower than what we did. But it's giving full XP when it shouldn't. Like, it still shouldn't work to this day. It's just Blizzard being Blizzard. If I'm happy to say that you're right, mate. I'm happy to say that it does work and it's a legit way to go and level. But should it have been? No, it should have been fixed very, very quickly.
Well, my reasoning was that at that time, pre-Cata launch, Blizzard did not care about the game at all. Like, man, oh man, was there 0 resources devoted to this game based on like all of the stuff that was on the beta that was bugged going live with the pre-patch as well. Clearly there was no love given, and clearly the last thing they were going to do is go in and tweak some experience gains from an old dungeon. Second, this was the way that things worked in Wrath, and going from TBC to Wrath as well in Classic. The experience values were nerfed in the retail or the classic, not classic, but the OG version of the game, but it was not in the classic version. I just don't think they care about it.
It was, but it was just Botanica was still quicker to solo, but the XP was reduced to what it should have been in Wrath, whereas Halls of Lightning actually wasn't. But it's the same as what they done with when they realised everyone was going to do Karazhan. They nerfed Karazhan straight away.
They did do that. That's true.
So, like me looking at it thinking, well, that's not how it should work. And once they start hearing it's what everyone's going to do, I'm still surprised to this day they didn't nerf it. I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, I mean, we was doing practice runs on the beta and everything. Like, we was ready to go in there. But we'll get onto that because we will talk about how we all got to 85 anyway. But yeah, we found a lot faster way of getting to 85, and that's why I've got like 7 85s now.
Yeah,
because it's that fast.
I personally enjoy just having a full rested bar, putting on the head and back heirlooms and knocking out 7.5 mil experience per hour without having to drag anyone into the equation and just log off until that bar is filled up again.
You do it from 84 to 85 as well?
No, I don't think I am. It's still decent experience, but I am 84 now. But I don't want to get to 85 into 70 item level gear.
No, it's just I'm leveling a warrior next, and I'm going to level it as prot. And I was considering doing Halls of Lightning, but yeah. I'd have liked to have done the same thing, just had it rested and literally not left Halls of Lightning to 85. But I didn't know if 84 to 85 is actually worth it. The most I've done it to is 83 on the beta. Yeah,
like you still get like without rested, you get around 3 to 3.5 mil experience per hour. So add rested to that, and you get a little bit reduced experience at 84 because a lot of the mobs are green. So
yeah, it's not bad though.
No, so what I've been doing outside as well, either this is gonna make you really jelly, or you're not gonna care about it at all. But on Sunday, I went down to Copenhagen to see Metallica and Five Finger Death Punch and Ice Nine Kills live on concert. That was pretty damn cool. Something I've been wanting to do for a really long time.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
The last time I saw Ice Nine Kills, I think they had to stop the show because the mosh pits were too crazy.
Well, I don't know if they've ever been to up here in my neck of the woods before, because up until recently they were pretty unknown. And so it's kind of cool to see them playing with the big boys now as well.
Dude, they've been putting out bangers for like 12, 15 years, dude.
Well, the public didn't see it that way for a long time.
Yeah, they came online with the Silver Scream, I think, album.
Yeah,
where they for people that don't know this band, they do like not covers, but their music is based around like horror movies, and their songs have like heavy influence from different movies. So they've done a movie or a song about like Jaws. What's
American Psycho?
Yeah, like Scream. And they've just got like these breakdowns where they're just doing like crazy shit involved with the movies, and it's like, yes, this is perfect. And then their stage presence, they've got like outfits on from the song's theme. Yeah, it's a whole fucking show, dude. Like, love me some Ice Nine Kills.
And what are they called?
Ice Nine Kills.
Ice Nine Kills. I'll have a listen after the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then okay, so let's talk the game that we're here to talk about. And I briefly talked a little bit about doing some midnight raiding. I'm in a bit of a dad guild, so we only did I think 6 bosses on the opening night, and then we ended up actually not clearing the whole raid during the first week. I think we went either 11 or 12 out of 13 heroic. And we didn't clear it until the next week when we went back and we did it all in Wednesday and Thursday. So now, like degenerate, I'm kind of in there chasing some big numbers. That's what I like to do, and I am playing a tank, so you can all meme on me about tank parses. But I want to have a conversation later about tank damage in Cataclysm and why tank damage matters.
If we're going to meme on you for anything, I think we're going to meme on you for the fact that you said you're in a dad guild yet cleared 13 of 13 heroic week 2. Like, I think if we're going to meme on anything, it's going to be that, because that's maybe your definition and my definition of dad guild differ greatly. I don't know many dad guilds that was 13 of 13 heroic in week 2. I don't know many dad guilds that are 13 of 13 heroic now.
Well, okay, so dads that don't spend a lot of time with their kids. Let's put it that
way. Divorced dads, that see their kids on weekends. Yeah. Right, okay, now we're clear. Cool. And what have you been playing? So I know you got a decan, a warrior. Is there anything else in the works then?
Yeah, so I'm playing DK as a main. I'm playing warrior as my first splits character. So going into Did 13 out of 13 heroic on 10 men with that one, but that one is going to be used later on next week. I think we're actually going to start doing splits. Yeah, I guess it's not a dad guild, huh?
That's splits dad guild. Yeah, I'm feeling it.
Yeah. And the plan was to play druid in the splits as a split character. And I leveled up my druid to 85. And I played a bit on it, but man, I am not having a good time on the druid. I gotta say that that feral druid is not my jam, especially not while in beer. But doing the cat weaving can be fun, but anything outside of that, I'm having a real tough time sticking it out with. So I really had to lobby my guild leader to be able to bring the warrior, and we'll see after our first split whether he will continue to allow it or not.
Okay, what is it that you're not enjoying? Just out of interest, because I mean, I love my druid, so yeah, it's just what is it that you're not enjoying?
I just feels like it has very limited impact. Like, you are a good meat shield and you do good damage, but for survivability purposes, I feel like it really doesn't matter what buttons you press, as long as you're pressing abilities to get your mastery shield going. And whether you're pressing mangle or lacerate is going to have an impact on your damage output, sure, but it's not going to have a impact at all about how your survivability is. So I don't know, it's just something that feels off about it to me, and while I'm playing it, not really having a good time.
Yeah, you're a bit too advanced of a tank, I would say. Yeah, it's like druid is a feral tank. Like I don't really tank. Obviously, I'm feral DPS or resto. Like that's right. It. But okay. I tank if I'm absolutely needed to, obviously. But feral, like you say, feral tank is very much you can get absolutely hammered and just press buttons and you're gonna be all right. You're not gonna lose aggro. Yeah. You're gonna be fine. There's not a great, like, a massive element of control like there is on a Blood DK, like, for sure.
Yeah, or a prop warrior, or even a prop paladin to some extent. So yeah, the last character that I have left that I want to level up is the prop paladin, which I have at 84 now, that I've been doing the hustle lightning spam with. But that one is probably not going to be coming online really until after the the catch up Soloman Sulgarub phase comes out, and I'm probably gonna get that one geared through that.
You're leaving out the power of feral fairy fire and getting the instant Sunder armors up. You know what I mean? That's
it's
big
great.
value.
Absolutely, it is big value, but
so nobody else has.
Wow, what a gamey experience. Missing fairy fire 3 times in a row because you have no hit, no spell hit cap.
My feral has called out for me to like reapply fairy fire often, and I'm like, what, huh? What? Why can't you hit it? Like, I've had to waste one of my GCDs to keep it up, but I'm a team player. I just got to keep putting it out there. I'm all about the team.
What boss is lasting 5 minutes for it to drop off? I'm confused.
Yeah, it was on Cho'Gall, I think. I don't know what it is with Cho'Gall, but it's usually like fairy fire's falling off, and I'm like, what the fuck do you want me to do about it?
just say you ain't got it talented. They'll be like,
yeah,
all right,
I gotta type out /cast fairy fire. I don't know, how do you spell fairy?
Parenthesis, cat form, and parenthesis.
Cool. Jugs, tell us what you've been up to. I am just going to step away for a sec, but I'm still listening.
Yeah. Just been pretty much doing splits. My guild's doing 3 full clear heroic splits right now in guild, and then there's various folks also dabbling in GDKP scene already. So pretty much just trying to get as much gear as possible. I think, like we mentioned, 25 man, there's a lot of gear that comes out of 25 man. Sometimes you get unlucky and you get triple rolls of a not so great piece, but generally speaking, there's a lot of loot. The thing that's probably the most pain in the ass right now is all the BIS pieces people want from Conclave and Alakir, with the true bis being the random pieces
yeah.
from those.
Yeah.
Like Warrior, for instance, we want like 4 of those pieces, so it's kind of annoying. A lot of people try to work around, oh, am I going to stat around the pants or not, with the randoms. So yeah, it's pretty much just split raid hell for the next 4 months until Fire lands. Other than that, probably start looking towards T12 prep for that race. But generally, yeah, that's kind of it.
So for your splits, you're a 25-man guild and you're splitting to do 25-man raids as splits, or is it like a 25 guild you're splitting to do multiple 10s?
No, it's 3 25-man runs. So for context, our guild, for main raiders in our guild, you're required to have 2 characters minimum. So like your main and like a main alt kind of situation. A lot of people have more than that. They'll have 3, 4, 5 characters, whatever. And I'd say like on roster, typically I think we're in the 30s, would like to be maybe in the 40s. But that helps us fill out our 3 splits. So it's not just like, ragged 3rd string alt that's like in sketch gear trying to do these things. Generally speaking, they're pretty, well geared, or they're actually somebody's, main or kind of main alt in that case. So across, so both with the requirement and having, a larger roster, we're able to facilitate having 3 splits. They're all 25 mans.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I thought the meta was going to be 10-man splits for sure, but I guess the way the
You
loops
could,
happen-
especially to target. I mean, I think there's a lot of thoughts around that potentially, especially in Firelands, around getting staffs on people, turning into basically a 10-man guild for 2 months and running like 10 mans to just get like as many staffs as possible. It kind of depends on what they put out as far as, what Blizzard's plans are as far as like acquisition of the embers or shards or whatever they are for the staffs, like how much of a difference it is between 10 and 25 man and timelines to get as many staffs as possible on people for T13 prog. But yeah, it'll depend. If 10 man is more efficient, then after T12 prog, yeah, we'll basically become a 10 man guild for 2 months and just have a crap ton of 10 man splits. So we'll see.
Does the essence of Forlorn drop multiple on 25 Alakir, or is it just one?
Just 3 of them.
3 of them.
Yeah,
okay.
it's big.
Yeah, I can see splitting for.
Yeah, tier's
that
not really
alone.
a problem right now.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of our people already have 4Ps, so.
Cool. And then me, yeah, I've just been raiding on, like, not a lot's changed since the last one. One thing's changed since the last episode, and that's that I'm raiding on a DK as well now. It's meant to be my GDKP character, but I'm trying to actually wrangle my way into one of the other runs, because like I got so stacked. Like I was pure luck slash manipulating the group setup is what people were saying, but it absolutely wasn't. It basically, I dinged yesterday. Sorry, it was the day before yesterday. I dinged, done a few heroics and got a couple of blues, and then one of the guys, Flo, was like, "Oh, still, we're talking. This is like 12 hours before reset." And Flo was like, "I could really do with like a full normal clear on my DK." I was like, "I'll go. Like, let's go." So it was like, it was bedtime for me. It was like 2 a.m. or something, and it was like, "Come on, let's just try and get a group together, just a random pug." Like, get a full 13 or 13. And we'd done that, but I was the only strength using DPS as the DK in there. I got, like, we're talking normal. It's a full normal clear. So I got, like, Heart of Rage. I got a tier head, tier shoulders. Already then got enough Valor to buy, 2 other bits of tier. I was lucky I got stacked. So, like, literally in a day, I got my DK to, like, 3, 5, 8 eye level or something like that. And it slaps. Like, I'm loving it. I'm loving Unholy. And I went blood, but like in full DPS gear, and was tanking heroics as well, which I really enjoyed. And this is from somebody who historically I've always said I hate DKs. Like, it's the one class that I wouldn't want to play. But I've been loving it, like literally amazing. So I've been raiding doing full 13 heroic on my rep paladin, which is like practically full bis now. Like it's gonna slowly get quite boring raiding on that, just because I've been lucky again, and just lucky or I get corrupt loot council. Like I think it was you, Rihani, when it said that earlier. Yeah. I've just been taking everything. My priest, yeah, it drops. It's like, sorry, mate, that's mine. Yeah, well, I've got like 4-piece heroic tier, and it's just stacked. I've been raiding with the NA part of the guild, so that's at like 2 a.m. my time till 5 a.m. twice a week, which is this is a real dad guild, by the way. The NA side of the raids that I'm doing, like we're like 7 heroic, I think. Just slowly ramping up, getting a couple of extra heroic bosses done a week, which I'm enjoying it. It's so chill. Like I really am loving it. That's on my disc priest. I raid on Sundays.
That guild, how many splits are you doing?
Only 4 splits. Yeah.
Okay, good.
No, it's a bit of a weird guild because most of our EU guild moved over to NA for Cata and joined the same guild as what I was in. Like I've been in this guild since like the beginning of Alduar. So when I said like I'm not playing EU anymore, I'm going full time NA for Cata. Like obviously I got a lot of the guys over, so we raid EU times. Like I raid EU times with that lot, and then I raid NA times with the NA side of the guild, and then we've got like another 2 10-mans that we run as well. So like my disc priest is with the NA side of the guild. My druid is with like the EU 25-man. It's by no means like a hardcore 25-man. Again, I think it's like 7 heroic, something like that. That's a couple of times a week, and then on Sundays I do like a social run. But basically, anyone's welcome. Like we know it's going to be mostly normals, maybe a few heroics. But I must admit, I'm enjoying those. Like I'm enjoying the chill. Just turn up. Don't need to worry about raid leading. Don't need to worry about organising cooldowns. I just turn up and I just play the game. Like I don't care about how many bosses die as long as we get a full clear in. If it's 7 heroic, 10 heroic, whatever. Like I'm cool with that. But then I've obviously got the paladin that I do 13 or 13 on every week. So that's pretty much it, really.
Speaking of corrupt loot council, Rihani, you're a DK. What would you say DK tank bis rings are? Just the names of the 2 rings.
The I'm bad at names, but is it the Draxonar? The Sinestra ring is the bis one.
Okay, interesting ring there.
That's
okay.
Dargon. I think it would be like Dragon, but it's Dargon.
Dargon. You're talking about them Dargon rings.
That there's Sinestra ring.
It's that one and the random stats mastery haste from Conclave.
I wasn't actually listening. I just heard the name of the ring, so I know what he's talking about. But if you go to any bis list where it says it's unrealistic bis because it's a DPS ring, you can put anything you want on your list, but it don't mean you're getting it. Wicked Pally.
I mean, the DPS they have the freaking Sinestra neck in their the tanking neck in their bis list, and somehow they're getting it. I mean,
well, they shouldn't. Like, I would never. I wouldn't take that over a tank. Yeah, I wouldn't be taking that over a tank. No chance. The tanks can stay off of my ring, and I'll stay off their neck. I think that's fair.
I have a philosophy that if I'm doing more damage than a DPS in my raid, they have no right to complain about me taking DPS loot.
That's fair. I'd be on board with that. But Wicked Pally, I haven't actually got 4-piece prot yet. I got the prot head heroic tier on our Nef kill today. But yeah, I just need to go and do heroics for Valor, and then I'll buy the other 3 bits. But I'm just lazy. Well, it's not lazy. It's just time. When I'm trying to keep like five characters geared up. But outside of that, I'm playing retail. I'm literally logged in on retail now on my monk. Like I'm playing retail. I've been playing a little bit of Season of Discovery, not a lot, but just been slowly leveling a paladin on Wild Growth NA Alliance. That's like 26 now. Been playing a bit of Mistblade, like Stormforge. Been leveling a monk on there on the MOP private server. I've been playing a bit of everything, really. I don't know where I get time to sleep with everything that I've just said.
Do you?
I don't think so.
All right, next thing up we have is the raid updates. Has anybody found any cheesy ways to do any bosses? For example, Maloriak with 0 ads, solo tanking council. Any crazy strats that your guilds have come up with to make boss fights easier? I guess we can start it off with Jugs. Send it over to Big Jugs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple strategies some people are already doing. Like, let's see, in Bastion, I think it's pretty standard to 2-tank these days. Maybe people are still 3-tanking. I'm not sure, but that one, I guess there's a caveat. A lot of strategies will tend to change based on the context of your guild, whether you're still progression focused or you are parse focused. It can drastically change a lot of these things. So for instance, for a while on Hellfest, damage to the Drakes, even if they didn't die, counted. So like people would release like Slate at the end or something and do damage to it, and it would count towards your parse even if you didn't kill them. But that's since been changed. So it's always a struggle to get people to kill things or do things that don't count on parses. So I guess a caveat there. But VNT, I've seen some people starting to do, and my guild's been playing around with it, but a solo tank strategy where you typically need a blood DK. I guess you could technically do it with somebody else taunting off, but you have a blood DK, just AMS, one of the stacks that go on the tanks that send them down to the down phase once they get 5 stacks. So you could prevent a stack of that and basically just be able to solo tank. I've been seeing rumors and possibilities that some guilds are starting to just not send anybody down at all to deal with the ads and just nuke the boss. Positioning wise, of course, you can always position the boss that's down to be right underneath the one that's kind of hovering to be able to cleave with like Ellie Shams and things like that. Ascendant Council, I've been seeing some people are a combination of either people are solo tanking, or there's a strategy some people are doing for better uptime and to make it easier that whenever Glaciate's about to go out, you kind of move Felodius away, and then drag him back so melee can just stay on Ignatius the whole time. But other than that, some people are just solo tanking and dropping healers.
You can do that with one tank, by the way. You can do the whole moving Felodius even with one tank. That's what we do.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, it's some of the strategy changes are just, hey, can we solo tank this? Hey, can we drop healers? Kind of thing. Cho'Gall, I think a lot more people are starting to utilize the kind of like forcing someone to get full corruption. Generally, it's mages, but there's already people doing different things there. Sinestro is a bit interesting. I would imagine pretty soon there's going to be people lusting phase 1 because the boss is dying so fast that you don't have much lust uptime after the 3-minute buff falls off at the end. For instance, our split yesterday, I think we only had maybe 20 seconds of lust after it fell off before she died. So I think you'll probably start to see some people kind of changing those things. Blackwing Descent.
Let's stay with Bastion for a minute, and then see if anyone's got anything to add to that, or if you're doing anything different, or because I want to touch on Cho'Gall more like for goes. I watch Go all the time. I'll put it. I watch Go all the time. I've been watching all of his heroic progress with the guild that he's with, and the one that just blew my mind was what they done on Cho'Gall in the last phase. So I want to see if it's the norm, because you got to remember, I don't watch streams like other than Go. I don't watch anyone else raid. I don't really care how anyone else is doing things. We just do it our way. It works. And yeah, the other guys doing the raid. So sometimes they're obviously influencing what they do what we do, because they're like, oh, I saw someone doing this. Can we try it? It's like, yeah, let's do it. But the tanking on the last phase, Go's doing 10-man, and as I say, my paladin is in like a strict 10-man group that's probably never going to change. do you tank it on the throne in the last phase? So that's Rihani, Jugs. Like, do you tank it or do you move it from each big tentacle that spawns?
We put it in a little cubby for each of the small eye spawns, so we can all group them up nicely. Use our our arcane turrets and whatnot to just silence them while AoEing them down, while then moving from each big tentacle into a new cubby. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We do the kind of cubbies and the throne. The only reason I wouldn't say go throne first is because sometimes you have the nuance of having a fire Ellie right as you're transitioning, and if you do that, then that throne is going to be lit up on fire, and all your melee are probably going to get burned and die. So there's a little nuance of deciding that. So I think generally you can do like a cubby first, kill those, and then for the next batch of darkened creations, you can run up on the throne and kill those. They die super quick if they're stacked. Like literally one warrior blade storm will just nuke them down. So yeah, I think that's definitely a good strategy to deal with them is stacking them for sure in a corner if possible.
Okay,
But,
so now do you understand what blew my mind, Go? As in, do you see the big key difference between what they've said and what I witnessed?
oh no.
Our team just strictly tanks it on the throne the entirety of the final phase,
And
Like,
they're
we
just
we don't
healing
move.
through the big tentacles, smashing them all over the place.
Wow. Okay, that's a choice.
It's worked. We've done
mean,
it
if it
3
works,
weeks
brute
in a
forcing,
row,
yeah.
but yeah, like I watched Scotty's Cho'Gall kill tonight, and they were like in the middle of the room. Like they didn't go into any cubbies the entire time. It was just like tentacle spawns, like big tentacle spawns. They interrupt all the little ads, kill them, then they reposition to the next little spot, like in the middle of the room. And I was like, maybe we're doing something wrong.
Well,
but
no, you can stack. Like
yeah.
we used to stack on private servers. We'd stack at the side of the room. Like you absolutely can do that. Obviously, we're like the pumpers in our group. They just fall over it. It's really irrelevant. But it's more. Did you see? So when you watched us do it earlier, did you see the amount of healing that was going out in the last phase? As in, no one's taking any damage at all.
Oh. No, I was watching Riggs' stream and he didn't have healing meters up. I didn't see what was going on or like how much damage people were taking.
Yeah,
He's
so
got some weird thing.
Well, in the last phase, that was what was scaring me when I was watching yous do it, and you're stood getting smacked by the big tentacles. You had 2 of them up, just smacking the entire raid, and you're having to blow all raid cooldowns, tranking, and I'm like, if you just move from it, you'll take no damage. Literally, it was so unnecessary.
The initial eruption does a lot of damage to you, and like if you're high on corruption, people are just puking on each other. And
It looked mental, and I messaged him. I was like, seriously, just move next time. That's it. Like if you want to stack and then kill the small ones, like cool, stack, kill the small ones, move somewhere else, stack, kill the small ones, like whatever.
Yeah.
But the big ones, like the first thing you do when you see one is get the fuck away from it.
But healing passes though.
Well, yeah, I mean, I bet their healers have got some good passes on that boss.
I'll check them because we 2 heal it, so they should be doing pretty good. But I like all the little tentacles being grouped up because shrooms can hit them all.
Oh, it's great.
I can pad a little bit. Somebody pointed out
solar beam too.
Yeah. That's what I did. Solar beamed right on the throne. It was fucking huge.
No, McNulty, no.
Somebody pointed out from Scotty's raid that I was the top ranked boomkin on Mancrick for 10-man Cho'Gall, and I was like, oh yeah.
Are you the only one?
There's like 5.
Yeah, we got our feral druid tonight that we took in because someone couldn't make it. He's now rank 1 on the server on Sinestra, Cho'Gall, and Nef because no feral DPS on the server has killed him. So yeah, just by default, he's the greatest. Sure. Yeah. So a couple of things. Like Rihani, obviously, feel free to put input. Like when it comes to like twins, like it varies a bit. So I've killed like we'll start with twins. I've done twins on 25 heroic and 10 heroic. On 10-man heroic specifically, like I said before we started the show, we don't send anyone down other than the tank. So we do 2 tank. But we just have, like, we've got 2 blood DKs. So the first blood DK that's going to get sent down has got massive vengeance. He's just going to go around, slap the ads, and then come out. The first week we use a sub rogue, but I think probably most groups might have used a sub rogue week 1. Don't know, like we did. But then by week 2, it was like, it's just not necessary. Like, the DK just goes down and clears everything out. But I do want to do the whole 1 tank thing now you've said it, because we've always got a rogue in the group. So actually, we just wouldn't send anyone down. We'd just burst it, wouldn't we? I think next week we might give that a go, and just skip it and just 1 tank and see how that goes.
1 heal.
Yeah, 1 tank, 1 heal. Do you do anything weird, Rihani, on any of the bosses? I mean, Council, as I say, we've 1 tanked literally since week 1. Because if the DK, well, I say DK tank, whatever tank you've got, I think most people would use a DK.
Yeah.
But you need to just, if you move as the boss starts casting shield, because the shield always starts just before glaciate. Glaciate starts just before the shield, sorry. So as the boss starts casting, you can then backstep. No, it's the other way around. Hang on, I'm confusing myself, because we'd be staying on Ignatius. And so the shield goes up first. So then he's static for a second. Then if the tank backpedals, then Feludius will follow him. And then the melee can literally keep pumping on the shield without having to worry about glaciate. So that's how we do it. So we sort of mix both of those things that you said, Jugs, but together. Like, we 1 tank and move Feludius out at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
We haven't really done any type of weird shenanigans in Bastion of Twilight, honestly. I feel like the gain that our raid would get from having 1 tank instead of 2 would be so minor. Like, if I go to... Let me actually pull up that fight tonight and see... Send on Council. And yeah, so I was 7th on DPS on that fight, so what is an extra DPS going to do? In Cataclysm, if you can make things safer by having 2 tanks, I think you might as well, especially if you're trying to do everything in an efficient manner. But yeah, if you want to, like, actually do some speed clears, parsing type of stuff, I think doing 1 tank is viable. But for us, we haven't really done that. None of the fights we've done anything cheesy on, really, in Bastion of Twilight. 3 tanking Halfus, because we just like to get it done. We could definitely 2 tank it. It's no problem at all in 25 man. And this is mostly from a 25 man perspective as well, because that's mostly what I rate. No, honestly, no cheese in Bastion of Twilight. We don't even do the corruption thing with mages, which is why I haven't been able to get a good parse on Cho'Gall yet.
We don't do that. That's the one thing we don't do. Like, we never have, and unless we're literally doing it for passes at some point. Like, that is the one thing that we don't do that a lot of people do.
Yeah.
It seems like there's got to be some big coordination with the mage and, like, healer cooldowns or something like that. Because
there is, because they're not healable. So, like, during when the Shadow Alley gets absorbed and there's raid dam going out, you have to be careful of, like, how much damage they can take when they're not healable. So whether that's sending AMs, whether that's sacks, whether you tell them to ice block it so they don't take dam, and then when they're low health, coordinating when they have to come in for, like, Spirit Link and things like that, because that's the only way you can really heal them. It takes a bit of coordination for sure. But
I think if our fire mage was good, we'd do it, but we haven't got a good fire mage.
I do agree where it's like, unless you're trying to do, like, speed kills or parses, and, like, there's just really not much value out of it. If you can one-shot it by being more safe, then do that for efficiency. So,
but the thing that slowed us down this week, so we done there was in our 10 man, there was a lot that we free healed. I want to say a lot that we free healed. Magmore we free healed, Alakir and Conclave. So them 3 specifically. And Nef, obviously, but we still free healed Nef this week anyway. Just for ease. But yeah, Magmore, Conclave, and Alakir. We went back this week and done it with just 2. Like, Magmore was easy. We should have been 2 healing it to begin with, but it was more, we got comfortable with 3 healers and then never changed. But it was quite fun this week. Like, not re-progging, but, like, working out how we're going to do council with 2 healers. Again, like in chat or even you guys, if you've done any 10 heroic clears, I don't know if 2 healing is just the norm and we was 3 healing unnecessarily, but it was quite fun. Yeah, working out how we was going to do it with 2 healers, and then watching both of the healers sweat on Alec here in phase 2 was probably one of my favourite things that I've done this week.
Yeah, for Cho'Gall, I know with doing the mage cheese, we did like 30, 40 seconds faster than Scott's group. I looked at the log difference there, so it made our kill a lot faster. So
you probably have more. What your Cho'Gall? You probably have more DPS though. Anyway, I mean, we had a bloody feral druid, like probably doing like 19k. He's good. He done all the mechanics right, but he was just. He's ranked 1 feral. He's ranked 1 feral on the server, but yeah, his damage still weren't like 33, 34k like a unholy DK.
So there is one cheese, small cheese that I do on Cho'Gall as a blood tank, and that is his gaze ability, where you get a debuff as a tank, 20% increased damage taken by physical damage, and 20% increased damage taken by magical damage. That ability lines up pretty well with the shadow ads, so you can both get an AMS for the gaze and the shadow ad going off and doing the AoE stuff, and that also removes the 20% damage increase taken from the magical damage portion of that debuff. So you don't get that at all if you AMS that. So that's a little bit of a cheesy trick you can do as a blood DK if you're struggling with tank damage.
Oh, that's cool. Anything on Sinestra? Anything on Sinestra? Like Go's progressing on Sinestra now. So would there be any tips that you'd give for Go on Sinestra?
Yeah, we tried lusting phase 1 a little bit. The cutter positioning, like the people running out of that, has been a little bit weird. We've had ranged off on like the right side up near the boss. I've seen strats where people are stacked. I think that's what we're going to try next week. Like everybody stacks on melee, and then if you get the cutter things, you run out. But yeah, we've been just trying to lust phase 1 so that we can see the whole fight, and we've seen phase 2 once or twice. But yeah, any tips for that would be huge.
Is that 10-man? Or
yeah,
25?
for 10 men, yeah. And then we were gonna try to nuke both eggs at the same time to just like one phase that.
Yeah, you definitely want to be doing that. Yeah, you will one phase 2. That's comfortable.
Yeah, as a druid, I think there are a few things that you can provide some pretty solid value from. One being Stampeding Roar is a very good ability in that fight. To get out to either to get out to the eggs, or when you're stacked up in the shield in phase 2 in order to get back to the boss. So definitely utilizing Stampeding Roar.
I'll tell my feral I'm not doing it.
Of course. I mean, I told you as a druid to tell your feral.
Yeah.
Duh. And one of the ads that spawn in the second phase has an ability that does huge AoE damage if it's not interrupted, but it can't be interrupted by normal means like a kick or a pummel or something like that. It can only be interrupted by displacement abilities. But any stun or any displacement that lasts for longer than like 2 seconds or 3 seconds will make them enraged and they can't be CC'd again. But a great ability for that is Hibernate. So you can just spam Hibernate the mob to interrupt it while having the tank on it complete, breaking it at all times. And then if it happens to get enraged, you can just soothe it.
Soothe it,
yeah. And go back to you doing your thing with Hibernate. Of course, you can do a lot of shroom actions on the whelps.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of good value on your druid here.
I look forward to the whelp phase. Go ahead, Jugs.
I feel like a lot of groups will like struggle with a couple things. One, it will be cutters and how you deal with that. We do like a melee group and a range group that are kind of separate. And then they kind of just run out and do like a bow tie kind of strategy where
Yeah.
they'll kind of run out straight left, and then as they're kind of getting out to the point, they'll cross and then come back. Kind of opposite of the the way they were. And that's typically how we deal with it. It works pretty well. So typically it's like when cutters are coming out and you see the orbs spawn, we typically just have people take a couple steps to the left and kind of cheat to see who it's on. And then as soon as you see the tethers, those people run out and everybody else just kind of steps back to the right. And it just kind of makes it nice. Problem sometimes you have is like people too far back or too far to the left or whatever, and like the orbs will just spawn in really crappy spots. So that's kind of like the main issue. The other issue probably people struggle with, is maybe phase 2. With the balance of dealing with the eggs and then the spike colors. We actually, when we were first trying, especially on like P server stuff, we were trying the hibernate strat. Typically what we do now is we just have DKs basically have assigns to like grip it towards the boss, like grip it back kind of more into melee range and stuff like that. So when people are done with eggs, they can come back and attack them. So the first interrupt typically is actually a DK grip. And then after that, it's either a rogue gouging or it's hunters scattershotting the cast. And that's typically how we deal with them. And 25, you typically get 2 of them. Even if you one phase eggs, you'll get like an initial one, a Drake, and then probably a second one. Lots of times for us, like we'll murder the first one super fast, and then the second one will get gripped in around that time, and we'll just deal with it from there. But yeah, I mean, once you deal with that and you get to like the next, phase 3 with the buff, like as long as you guys don't grief cutters, like it is pretty smooth sailing at that point.
Yeah, this whole spam hibernate's bringing me back to BWL, the trash packs before the suppression room.
Yeah. I think mine on the basic, like I've not done Sinestra 25 heroic. Well, I have, but not in classic. But yeah, so it might differ slightly. But on the basis, I know you're doing 10-man anyway. Go like the biggest thing for us personally, outside of the obvious being cutters, like not to just repeat what the other guys have said, was a good cooldown rotation in the last phase. So having cooldowns assigned for each breath made like a world of difference. And during the second phase, because it is so easy to push those eggs in like one phase. In 10-man, you'll only get one spike caller. And then we do exactly what Jugs said. We have 2 DKs. So we'll have Lee as a DK. He'll interrupt the first one by gripping it in. And then Briggs will then grip it from Lee if it does a second cast. Most of the time, it don't even get a second cast off. And then that's it. Then you're in phase 3. But yeah, because phase 2 is so easy to push those 2 eggs, like, don't use DPS cooldowns. Like, don't let anybody use DPS cooldowns in phase 2. So as soon as that haste buff goes up in phase 3, boom, all cooldowns, and just, you'll burn the boss down really fast. Again, it probably differs a bit with 25 heroic. I appreciate that. There'll be things that change slightly, but for us, the big things that got the kill was definitely a good cooldown rotation for breaths and mass dispel for rack as well. That's a pretty big one.
Oh yeah, like our healer was having a little trouble with the rack buff, like dispelling it at certain times because they're the raid leader. So I guess they were paying attention to a lot of stuff and then trying to dispel at the same time. So I think once we get the rack down a little bit, that might help us out a little bit. But we have that same strat. It sounds like that Jugs has, and I swear if I didn't have nameplates on, I would have thought Zach was in our raid, Scotty, because the cutters would come out and people would be trying to like figure out who had it. And then if you don't have it, you're supposed to move right. And somebody had it and they moved right with the cutter and it just ran right into the group. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, go left, go left.
Yeah, I was really surprised. So we took two, well, not new people, obviously, like you'll know I'm talking about Go, but we took Fake Jay and Hoyt tonight, and they'd never pulled Sinestra before. Literally, they'd never, not on private servers, not back in the day, nothing. Never seen Sinestra before, and we one-shot it. And that was purely just and they, trust me, they got pretty much every slicer as well, which was awesome. But every time they got it, I cringed a little bit. I was like, oh shit, like this is it, we're gonna wipe. And they just nailed it. Like, as long as you got people who don't rely on add-ons too much, because you can't. Like, you have to just physically use your eyes. Yeah, it's pretty chill, to be honest with you. I think Sinestra's
you-
quite
you guys
easy
had
once you
the-
got it down.
You had the rank 1 feral druid, so I mean, obviously
Yeah.
you can one-shot it.
Exactly. I didn't. There weren't a care in the world when he joined the raid.
Really.
Was the cutters one where I heard my raid lead say that there's no weak aura for that? Like you can't weak aura that mechanic?
There is, but it's based on threat. And because you could, like, I get it all the time. Up in melee as Ret, I get it a lot, say, Twilight Cutter on me, but it's because I've got aggro of one of the whelps as they're flying in.
Yeah.
So that's how it gauged it. Sometimes it's 100% accurate, and it will say Cutters on you, and it's on you. But because there's nothing in the combat log, the only way that a weak aura or DBM can try and ascertain who it's on is by have they got threat on something. And if they've got threat on something and it's a whelp, as the cutter's coming in, it will say it's on you even if it's not. That's why you just need to look. Like, I assume that's the same for 25 heroic. As I say, I'm sure I'll see that in the next couple of weeks. But
Yeah.
There was one other question I had for Jugs on Bastion. For the twins fight, are melee able to hit the dragon that's up in the air?
As a warrior, no. I'm gonna imagine DKs can definitely get their diseases up there. I think I've seen Rets being able to somehow like get some of their stacks on them.
yeah, so
but,
exorcism
I mean,
and judge possibly.
Yeah, sadly, as a warrior, no. As much as I'd like to, I haven't had luck with that. But
Have you tried going into Dire Maul and getting the ogre suit?
I thought they fixed that all
Hold
the
up.
hitbox shenanigans.
Is
Ogre
it
suit tech.
seriously a
Who's
thing?
cooking here?
I don't know. I'm asking. That's. I was thinking. I was like, if melee can't, what if they increase their hitbox or whatever? Like they've been doing in TBC and Wrath. Like this would be the fight that I could think of where that could come in handy. I doubt
World
it would
Striker
work,
too.
but
Yeah.
I had imagined, I could have sworn they had like adjusted and fixed all those things, but who knows? I mean, hey, maybe Cat is different. Maybe it works. Same with the engineering teleporter thing. If you Alt F4 at 0.5 seconds of the cast and stack your size buffs like we used to do back in Sunwell and shit. And yeah, I mean, maybe. I guess I haven't really messed with it. But as of right now, yeah, unfortunately, not many can.
all right. We moving on to the next raid, Scotty.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, go for it.
The
BWD.
next one would be BWD.
Well, I'll start
Yeah.
just because I've done it for the first time this week, and it's the only thing I'm going to add to this really because I think the rest of them are pretty clear cut. But we've always done the long, boring strat on Maloriak. Making like you're just having to chill on the boss and just kill the ads, like phase by phase, and yeah, you go the full length of the fight. That's how we've always done it up until this week, where we fucking zerged it.
Yeah, I would have raged at my raid leader like, fuck this.
Yeah, we zerged it this week, and literally it went black, red, dead. That was the order of the phases. We didn't even get a blue phase. It was literally black, red, dead. And yeah, it was fun. Oh, I suppose the way we did it might be a bit unique, actually. In the fact that we had our Holy Paladin doing the ads. We had the off tank supporting, but we had the Holy Paladin literally stand at one side of the room and Righteous Fury just spam heals into anyone to get healing threat. So he got healing threat. All of the ads that ran to him. When they got to him, he bubbled. The DK dropped Death and Decay under him. So now they're running to him. Then the Holy Paladin bopped the DK. They ran back to the Holy Paladin. So they literally just ping-ponged him from like one side of the room to the other, while we've got the boss on the opposite side of the room and just nuked him down. So I don't know if like using a healer might have been a little bit more unique, but
yeah, I'd say so. The small ads can they can be CC'd to oblivion as well with the Novus and Ring of Frost and stuff like that.
We did Ring of Frost as well. Actually, yeah, we Ring of Frost. I think once they'd gone backwards and forwards once to each, then Ring of Frosted.
Yeah.
I typhooned him.
Into the boss.
Yeah. into a ring. I'm sure it was. Yeah, I'm
Surely,
positive. Yeah,
surely.
nobody look up the logs to
Yeah, look,
verify that. But
Chunk just called me out in chat. He's like, "You forgot the Ring of Frost we used."
Yeah, there you go.
He's
There you go.
he's the mage.
Yeah.
We still we haven't tried to just like, at least on 25 man, like just nuking the boss off the rip. We typically pray for an aberration cast before Black Phase. It's RNG of like, does he even do a single cast? Is it just an arcane storm? Like what's going on? Sometimes he casts, sometimes he doesn't. But typically we hope for an aberration cast before Black Phase, and we kill those three with the swills. And then we typically let, I want to say 9 or 12 out before the green phase, as pretty much as many as we can. So then when we get to a green phase, we just turbo nuke them down, and then at that point the boss is normally in phase 2 and we kill it. But like I said, the strategy typically now is like, you can just ignore them and kite them, and it kind of depends. It's like, maybe for kill speed it's a bit different, but if you want parses, it's probably a bit different. So especially now that people that main the Warcraft logs website might look at it a bit different, where anything damage done to adds in phase 2 doesn't count. So if you want the big add green phase dam, you got to do it before phase 2. Otherwise it doesn't count. So
True.
I think there's some I've definitely seen some strategies of like killing every set slowly and going through like 2 sets of every phase and all that stuff. I think it just really kind of depends.
Well, Nolty just put another good point out. So we've done it on normal in, I don't know, like a fun run, like whatever, for whatever reason we was doing Maloriak normal, because every raid that I actually go to does it on heroic. It might have been the NA guild's first clear where I said let's do this, which is letting a full arcane storm go off with all cooldowns. So stack like barrier, bloody rallying cry, tranks, just blow all healing cooldowns. So you push the boss to phase 2 whilst he's doing arcane storm, so you get like I don't know 5-6 seconds of just free damage, and that's what we want to do next week.
And then you have nothing for the
Nova. Yeah, but you don't need that, because by then the boss is going to be pretty much dead, because he's then got to summon release all aberrations. It's like you probably get about 10 seconds of free just stood there lust, just burning the boss. I think it's something that we'll start seeing more of. Maybe not like now, but definitely when people are geared. But then by then it probably won't matter anyway, because they'll just nuke it and just fuck everything.
Yeah, or even as like an oh shit or something, you can have DKs just rip armies as well. And just move the boss away.
Sorry, but I'll shut up now. So that I just wanted to talk about Maloriak first, because I'll be honest with you, out of all the bosses in BWD, I think that's the only one that we do maybe what wouldn't be considered normal.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit, because I saw someone comment a little while ago about the cheese you can do in with Chimeron with the red paladin off tank. And that's something that we've been doing up until this week, until we realized there's a lot, a way to do it that's a lot better if you have a blood DK. So this is now we're coming into the cheesy part, and the way that this works is basically the blood DK just tanks the entire phase, where he's not in his feud phase, and tanking double attacks and tanking everything, because the way that the safety mechanic works is that it checks for shields first. So if you have a blood shield on yourself that takes you above 10k HP, you are literally immortal. You cannot die regardless of if you have 1,000 stacks and you take a double attack. So what we do now is we just have a blood DK tank, which is me, tank the entirety of the non-feud phase, and then our feral druid comes in and tanks the feud phases with strong defensive cooldowns during the double attack. And that works really well. Allows you to have one extra like full DPS because the ret isn't really doing full damage while having to taunt and getting parries and stuff like that. And your Bloody K is also at full vengeance pretty much at all times, so they're going to be doing a lot of damage. And if you are like me, don't forget to call for a salvation during the feud phase, because you're gonna rip threat during double attack and die. So, but yeah, that's the stuff that we've been moving towards now, instead of doing the Rets Paladin cheese, if you will, to another type of cheese.
But that could explain what we used
you
to do.
effectively solo tank it the whole time, or do you have 2 tanks still?
We only have a feral go into bear during the feud phase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
So
could
your
explain.
your
oh, sorry,
break
Jeff.
tank also eats the double strikes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He just needs to make sure to have a blood shield up before the double attack comes in.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe we had a misunderstanding of how that works then on private servers, because we used to have Majay tank on a blood DK, and he would what we thought he was doing. I'm not saying it's what, because what you've just said is different to what we thought he was doing. Was he would time his double strike, his death strike, to go when double attack came in. So he would solo tank the whole non-feud phase, and as double attack was coming in, he'd death strike as the first attack hits him, on the understanding that then he would get the heal between the 2 double attacks. Do you know what I mean? I
don't think you can do that.
Oh yeah, that's literally because we haven't been doing it on Classic because well, I don't know why we've not been doing it, but on White Main that's what we was doing. And he would solo tank it, but he was almost like, but it makes sense that as a double attack's about to come in, he was death striking, which guarantees he's got a shield, and then so he was surviving, but how he was surviving was different to what we thought. You get what I mean? So that's
like
really good to know.
When you're doing math in school and you do the wrong, you solve it in a wrong way, but you get
the right answer. Yeah, exactly. So no, that's cool, because we'll start doing exactly the same thing. Because we do the whole one taking break, one taking double attacks. You know, I mean it works. Don't get me wrong, but still, if we can go down to just having a feral. Yeah, who's in cat form the entire time other than feud. Like, that's that's huge.
And the blood DK damage increase is big as well. Like, I got a 99 parse this week with me dying as well during feud and being dead, not having buffs and stuff like that.
You're a tank, mate. You're not allowed to survive that fight. It's against the rules.
I guess so, huh?
No, that's awesome. That's great to know.
We at least in farm and our splits, we do the let me reset. I guess on like Prague and stuff, we did the Giga Safe Ret Pally tanking the breaks pretty much, and then a tank would taunt for double strikes, and then you would eat the feuds and stuff like that, and then they would alternate. Nowadays, we don't make the Ret do it anymore, much to their pleasure. So we still have a tank taunt for double strikes and things like that, but definitely to like extend the last phase. I feel like that fight's all about having a good push into the last phase. And one of the really useful things you can do to help your tank survive the last phase is if you have a Resto Sham, like Spirit Link's pretty big. Your tank's pretty much unkillable when they're sitting in a Spirit Link, and things like Rally and stuff like that.
And obviously another case where Bloody K is just superior is your healing or the absorption portion of Death Strike still works through the 100% decreased healing, so you can still stack your absorbs, and most cases you don't even die as a Bloody K during the last phase, because also if you pop Dancing Rune Weapon, that's 20% extra parry. You have IBS and Vamp Blood, and man, just have so many tools at your disposal.
Yeah, awesome. Any other bosses? What about Jugs? Anything you do? So we've covered Chimera and Maloriak. Any other bosses that you maybe do anything slightly different, even if it's not in terms of making it quicker per se? Might just be just different, just to make it easier.
No, let's see, Magma, when we originally started, we had ranged, basically being a big range stacked and range killing the parasites. Lately, we've been using the Frost DK kite strat. Even more to that, we typically have the Frost DK out there with a healer and maybe like a couple hunters, but we have pretty much the entire raid stack in melee now. And we generally just kind of save cooldowns and lust the head phase, and you can kill it pretty quick. I think we'll get to the point pretty quick where you'll not even have a second head down phase. Like either your kill times will start to speed up. I think, for instance, let me pull it up real quick. Yeah, we had like a 3-minute 20 Magma kill in our split yesterday. It was pretty fast. Even our armor, like Omnitron, I feel like that one's just super RNG of how well your tank. That one's really big on tank positioning and maximizing damage increases around clouds or pools or things like that. You can have a pretty quick fight. Biggest thing is obviously people not getting hit by a slime. I feel like people respecting shields, pet management, stuff like that.
Well,
but yeah, Magma, we've been adapting the Frost DK kind of kite strat.
Is that strategy also because for 25 man the parasites are removed from like your damage for parsing, or is that just to help have more damage on the boss, or kind of like
it just means you don't have all of your range DPS time having to turn and kill them and stuff like that. So it's like you just ignore them. The Frost DK can basically solo them. You'll probably still have like an Affliction Lock probably still wants to soul burn seed them. As a anything that still has a single target kind of increase could definitely help out if they want, or if it's like not much of a loss for sure. But typically the Frost DK can kind of just handle it.
So without jumping to it, well, we are going to jump to a different raid just briefly because there's no other way to do it. So like I've wanted to try that Frost DK strat like on the parasites, and we haven't done it. But do you do the same on the Anshul platform with the ads in Conclave? Because I know a lot of people are doing the same there, where they've got a Frost DK just kiting the ads around the platform while everyone just nukes the boss.
You can. We don't. We just kill them.
Okay.
It probably makes some people sad because those ads don't count on your parses, so people don't want to touch them. But yeah, you can do it either way. I've definitely seen a lot of people with DKs doing that as well.
Yeah, I just wondered if anyone done it.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about blood DK supremacy and all of the tools they have to completely break encounters, but for the first time, of course, Conclave still has a blood DK mechanic that completely breaks the fight too. We can talk about that later. But here for once on the Anshul platform, Pro Warriors actually have a mechanic to break the fight and make it a lot easier. If you group them up and before the toxic spore goes out, you use shockwave. They don't get the debuff. You can just AoE them down freely. They don't get the debuff retroactively after either, so you can just nuke them down and don't have to worry about it.
So can you do that with any? Like, could you do that with a Shadow Fury from a Warlock, for example? Yeah. Okay.
Like
so still
Warstomp is probably for sure.
Still fuck Prot Warrior is what we're saying. We can do that with someone else.
Yeah. We're immediately trying to figure out other ways to do it.
Yeah. How can we do it without a Prot Warrior?
Look, I'm not, Destro Warlock is probably not that most hot spec either, so.
I may have picked the worst AoE stun. I apologize.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I didn't. Well, I just wondered about the whole Conclave thing because we've not tried any of the Frost DK sort of kiting methods. So I was intrigued. But yeah, back to BWD. Anything else on any of the other bosses? Maybe some of the more the ones that maybe cause. I mean, Nef. If there's any cool things you do on Nef, I feel like most people are doing Nef the same way, but.
We actually learned the fight kind of more hard mode, where we did almost kind of more the 10-man strat, but on 25, where we 2-tanked and basically cleaved down or nuked Ani on pole. So we actually did that 25 man on private servers. Like that's how we learned the fight before kind of switching to what most guilds do now with 3 tanks and doing like 20% of Nef's damage before pushing to phase 2 and stuff like that. So we learned kind of the hard way, and I think maybe we'll move back to doing that as times kind of speed up and things. But that's typically how we learned. But we've been doing the 3 tank strat, and I don't know, it works pretty well. I've been off tanking it a couple times, just kind of being a wingman for the Skelly tank in phase 3. And as a prot warrior, I definitely like to take safeguard in that case, and I can basically just let the tank solo it, and I can taunt in things that maybe break loose. But typically when he doesn't have a cooldown or an external, I'll have my intervene there for him on a 30-second cooldown. 30% DR for 6 seconds on a 30-second cooldown is pretty nice to just be able to throw in there. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of moving to that point where we can pretty much 2 tank phase 3, but you can't really fully transition to that unless you're going to do the kind of burn strat in phase 1, which we're not yet, but we might.
Cool.
Have either of your guilds had any crackles while you're in phase 2, like on the platforms?
No, that's
okay.
that's you will wipe doing that.
Thankfully, we have not had people monkey out that hard yet. Normally, we make the calls where it's like Nef will be like 71%, or like, all right, guys, don't touch it until he lands. We're situated. People are topped. So I think typically when phase 3 starts, our Nef is generally, he's always like 72, 71% health kind of thing. It's pretty close. But yeah.
Yes, Scotty might have called for it or something. I don't remember what happened, but on your Nef tonight, somebody was like, "Do we push for a crackle?"
It wasn't me.
When you guys were on the platform. Okay.
Yeah, no, it would have been
bars after that.
It would have been me that said no.
Okay.
I mean, there are the thing is with Nef, in my opinion at least, is if you've got like the understanding out at range doing the ads, it feels like once they've got it down, it can take a while for it to click. Like let's say you've got a holy paladin and a prot paladin out, or you've got a prot warrior, prot paladin, and a holy paladin out. Like whatever your combination is, once they just click and they just get the ads down, you feel like you can go forever. It's like we almost feel like there's no point having any extra stress in the first phase with crackles or second phase. It's just like get through it, get to the last phase, control the ads. It's a kill. Like yeah. I find it quite a boring fight. I'll be honest with you. I think Nef is actually one of the worst fights in Tier 11, and that might be an unpopular opinion, but I just think like it feels exactly the same as normal, except for obviously everything hits harder. You need to use cooldowns on crackle and stuff like that, but it's still kind of like a bit too similar for my likings. When you think about all the changes on most of the other bosses in BWD, I'd say it's one that gets the least attention, really, or the least changes from normal, at least. Again, just my opinion.
That mind control stuff, it was a shocker for me. I wasn't expecting that thing for on heroic versus normal. And so that took a couple of us a little bit of getting used to. It's like, well, oh shit, like I don't have one key bound for whatever reason on this bar, in this action bar. No. They're like, I can't get out of it. I can't get out.
On 25 man, it's a bit different, but on 10 man, it's a blessing and a curse. Right, on 10 man, if you've got a couple of pumpers getting Dominion, like you can push from one crackle to the next in like 4 seconds. Literally. I'm critting with Templar's Verdict with cooldowns up and full stack Dominion for like 450k. And you're just watching the boss's health go 70%, 65%, 61%. Shit, crackle. It's literally that quick. So we have to like in the 10-man group, we have to control it. It's like don't use Dominion stacks at the moment, or go on, use it. We're safe. We've got a big cooldown ready.
I think some of the things, the nuances around it is it can get you a little bit in trouble. One thing we do is we typically drop hunter traps at the feet, so it basically allows people to be slowed and be able to stack up as faster. Or be able to get their max stacks before they hit the portal. You could use something like Earthbind, I guess, but we typically just use Frost Traps. The big thing is like those people need to pay attention to is the timing around electrocutes going out. While you're mind controlled, you won't take the damage. But, if you're kind of running out and you're out of range of having, nature resist or something like that, and you break your MC right before electrocute goes out and you're not full health, you might get, one tapped. Or if there's fire on the ground you're walking into, or if the boss is spun a little bit and you're going more to the right or something, you can get tail whipped. You just have to be cognizant of kind of where you're at and your positioning in the electrocute times. I think is the biggest thing, especially if your raid's like relying on like a rally or something for this electrocute and you're mind controlled and then you break it, you didn't get the buff and now you're getting one shot. The biggest thing for melee I see, not that I've ever had this happen to me, but when you get mind controlled, most melee, have a start attack and all of their buttons, and you come out of mind control and you start spamming your buttons. Sometimes you might accidentally target, a friendly person and one shot them. So I would say, as habit, as you're mind controlled, just make sure you have Nef, targeted when you're coming out of it, and you're not just freely spamming your start attack macro and one shot one of your friends.
I'm glad to know it's never happened to you though, Jugs. That was fucking the worst acting I've ever seen.
It's never happened. Yeah, that's one of the downfalls of the cleave or like the nuke phase 1 strat. I feel like it's very easy to cleave your friends down if you're trying to cleave Nef at the same time. So you do have to be careful about that. One thing I guess that's a little different I didn't mention, but in like phase 2 we only kill 2 of the ads in phase 2, and one of the platforms only has a tank, a healer, and like an Elisham or something on it, and they typically all the range deal with and kill that ad when we all kind of come together for phase 3. So I don't know, that's what we do. Sounds like some other guilds maybe do that, some don't, so I don't know, but that's one thing we do to kind of get out of phase 2 a little faster.
Yeah, that's what we do as well. We do the pretty much split the raid, and then we do actually all of our 3 tanks on the one platform, just so that we have interrupt rotation for the ads. So one for each tank, and then we have a third one for backup in case the one of us has to jump out with the explosion thing to debuff with one healer as well. And then after that, it's basically just the elemental shaman comes down and takes care of the interrupting during the last phase, and the range kind of just dot it up and kill it over time. Yeah.
I think one of the big things that's kind of tech for Unholy DKs that I don't know how many people are utilizing, but anti-magic zone is pretty big on a lot of these things because it batches a lot of these things. So you can use it on things like electrocute, where you throw it out and it basically prevents that damage on the entire raid. So it's really nice for crackles. You can use it on Sinestra breaths, anything like that. You can use it on Maloriac fire breaths. Just different things where there's like kind of a burst AoE situation, and if you have a couple DKs, and they really don't lose much by taking that talent. I think it's just like blood tap or something. So yeah, that's a pretty big value to be able to just throw out for different big damn things.
Huge gain, and it's one of those things where you read the tooltip and you think that, wow, this spell might be the worst spell in the entire game. But then you actually realize that it batches the entire spell and calculates how much damage that was mitigated afterwards. So obviously AMZ is one of those spells that has really, really high value in the right circumstances, and definitely should be a pickup for any Unholy DK wanting to do raiding seriously.
Yeah, we use it on Sinestra breaths. We use it on crackles. Everything. It's huge. So McNulty's are. So he's had Disc Priest. What is the benefit of leaving that third ad alive in the second phase?
It's just strictly
Mainly
for
just to
speed.
get out of phase 2 faster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because phase
It's,
2 seems kind of comfy to me. Like, is there something I'm missing on phase 2, or it's like, oh,
it
yeah,
just
this is gonna help?
drains healer mana, and you can't do any boss damage during it, and it's just an uncomfortable place to be in 25 man. So it's better to just get out of it, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind
that
of
makes
our
sense.
philosophy at least.
Yeah, yeah, it
less
makes
need
sense.
for interrupts. Yeah.
Yeah, stops all of
It's-
that splash damage going around on fucking tens of people. Yeah, it makes
It's
sense.
the raid dam. It's dealing with interrupts. It's dealing with cinders, the debuff you get. It's dealing with all those kind of things. So it's basically just trying to get out of that phase as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely a lot more relevant on 25, I'd say, Naughty, than 10.
Yeah.
Cool. And we had a super chat go.
We did from Tom, first super chat of the night. We didn't really plug it at the beginning of the show, but if anybody wants to super chat and send us a question or a comment like Tom has done, then help support the show. Keep Scotty and I coming back week to week, bringing on fantastic, amazing guests like Jugs and Rihani here. So Tom said, Scotty, love your videos. They misspelled your name, though. Kind of weird. I'm kind of wondering, is this a bot?
Did he call me Scotland Joe?
Scotty with a Y. I mean, what is that? Obviously, it's an IE. I mean, come on, Tom. Said, please tell Blaze and Bob to get on Cata and level that rogue so I can gank him. Thank you for your content. I consume all of it.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, thanks, mate. Appreciate it, and appreciate the super chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you got any questions, yeah, like Go said, bang some super chats in. Why not? Cool. All right, but that was Nef. Anything on any of the other bosses? Then we'll touch on Conclave. I mean, I did say we weren't going to spend the entire podcast talking about raids, and it's now 2 hours in, and we're still talking about raids. So we fly through this, and we'll get onto some of the topics.
I think Jugs, it's time to hit up your raid leader and tell him that you're not coming. This is going to be a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah. You should have known what you were getting into.
Yeah. What the hell? What the hell?
Yeah, it's more. Is there anything anyone wants to add? Like, yeah, the only bosses we ain't touched on, Atramenias. I'd imagine by now most people are, sort of chaining at least the first few gongs, getting a nice big burn phase on it. Like, fairly standard. Chimera we've done. Maloriak we've done. So Alakir, or even Conclave. Anything weird any of yous do with that?
Just DK stuff. On the Nazir platform, you can solo tank it as a blood DK by AMSing the last stack refresh, and then before he goes into his super, ability, ultimate, whatever. And once he comes out of that, you'll have to refresh your stacks. It'll go down to 0, so you don't have to jump to another platform and come back and do all that shenanigans, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. But if you're DK, don't do that in your raid tonight. If you're on NA, because I want to keep my rank 1 pars for that fight. So don't go ahead and do any of shenanigans in there. Do it next week. Thank you very much. Same AMS shenanigans you could do in phase 2 of Alakir. Every 3 stacks, you can AMS them off in order to reduce the AoE healing or AoE healing needed by a significant amount. You barely take any damage whatsoever. That's both for blood DKs and for unholy and frost DKs too.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything crazy with those. They're pretty standard strats that I feel like a lot of people use. It's just kind of execution and don't get hit by wind walls and stuff and squall lines and try to get out of phase 2. You can delay the killing the odds to make it a bit more, I guess, comfy in phase 2. Lots of times we don't typically kill one until I think the 3rd one is spawned still. And then kind of try to stagger it out. If you end up killing them too fast, you end up in a problem where you have to start killing them like almost on spawn to be able to not drop your stacks. So it just gives you a bit more time to play around that.
Cool.
That's what we do as well.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add on either of those bosses. Yeah, I don't feel like. But actually, I've got one thing to add, but I don't know how to do it. So, but I also haven't really put a great deal of time in looking to find out. Apparently, there is some tech that you can use to stop the boss doing wind burst in phase 1. Have any of you heard about that? By be it like moving out, the tank moves out, so he does electrocute instead of wind burst or something along those lines?
Yeah, I had mentioned it. I think when you were talking to Subtle last time. Basically, the idea, if you're two tanking, I think people will start to solo tank probably Alakir at some point. But if you're two tanking, basically tank 1 taunts and goes out in range near the edge of the platform, and then tank 2 taunts Alakir when electrocute is being cast and has less than like 3 seconds left. And then the first tank will walk back into melee Alakir after the tank 2 taunts, and it basically prevents wind burst from being cast. So you're playing around the mechanic of when the active tank is too far out of melee range and the boss starts to cast. So if you just keep kind of cycling that, he basically will never cast wind burst.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. As I say, I'd heard about it. Maybe it was even from you, Jugs, where I heard about it. But yeah, no, I didn't actually quite know how you do it. But like you say, yeah, most are probably just one tank in it. So I suppose if people are having problems with phase 1 and you wanted to maybe throw, you got a feral druid that can go bare form and just help out with that, it's a possibility. Not saying recommend it, but
I'm feeling this is one of these cases where us as a community kind of dubs it as cheesing, where maybe this is a little bit more than cheesing. It's breaking the encounter in a way.
Clever use of game mechanics.
Yeah, something like that. Not that it really matters because it's not like a race to world first or anything type of, and stuff like that. But still, I don't know.
Cool. Okay, that's raids done. So we've got some spicy topics to talk about, but there's one thing about raids, but not bosses, just raids in general. I want to know if anyone's had any problems with raid lockouts. So I complained about it in a video, and shortly after I saw Wowhead put a post out about it as well. And I've seen some funky shit happen with raid lockouts, mainly in BWD. Have you had any issues with, like, when you've gone in a raid and, like, let's say maybe you've got Nef left and that's it, you've done 5 or 6 for whatever reason, you've got Nef left, you go back in and all of a sudden you've got Chimera on Atramedes and Maloriak back alive again that you can kill on Heroic and get loot from again? Or, I mean, the one we had last night was the best. We killed Magmor Heroic and he despawned. We got the passes and everything, so it logged as a kill, but his body just despawned instantly and we got 0 loot. And we've got VOD evidence of that happening. It's not just me talking shit. Like, we was literally live when it happened. And we're like, what the fuck's happened? And they're like, go out and reset. And I'm like, well, there's no point resetting. I can see on Warcraft logs, we just got the kill. Yeah, it's nothing's gonna happen. So I don't know if you've had anything funky happen.
I'll do mine really quick. It's really short. The only thing funky with raid lockouts that I've had was Baird and Hold. We went in there and it said that we had already killed the boss or something like that, so we had to go out and reset it and then go back in. I think it was because we had just done like either 10 and then went in to try to do 25, or did 25 and then tried to go in to do 10, one of those. So that was really weird, but it was only one time. And Ashley, thanks for the super chat. Thanks for catching us live. Big supporter of the show, Ashley. And I got to take a piss. So Rihani and Jugs, have you guys had any of those issues? Yeah, Scott's sound insane.
Well, I've had one more, actually. I've had one in Bastion, where on 10-man, sometimes we go in and it's got 25-man trash. The boss is a 10-man, but the trash is 25. Yeah, like we've had all sorts of weird shit happen.
Yeah, nothing on our end, neither in 10 or 25-man. But maybe because we're that guild, we don't raid enough.
Yeah, could be that. Jug, nothing?
No, we've never had that problem. I mean, I don't think we typically kind of just go in and we're in and then it's cleared and then we're out. So maybe it's because we don't really have that happen too much, where we're like in and out of different raids at different times or something like that. But I've never seen it. The only thing that was like kind of funky I saw that was kind of funny was like the heroic trash gun appearing for some people, but it's not supposed to like be a thing, but it is somehow. and it found its way on some like auction houses for crazy prices. But yeah,
We
no,
we
I
had it on a
haven't used
Tuesday though, Jug. So like even the continuation raids on a Tuesday, it was reset day. We went into
But, like, you extended
BWD.
the lockout.
No, it wasn't extended. No. We went in and it's fresh, and
Fresh.
only about 18 people could get in. Everybody else was saying you're
That's so weird.
already locked to this, and then we spent like 20 minutes disbanding, giving this person lead, let them try and get us in. Like we've had loads of issues with lockouts. Maybe it's just us. We're noobs. We don't know how to walk into a raid properly.
Clearly.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We can move on from that. So class balance next. So we're a few lockouts deep. Like where the experience among this podcast is really good. You know, we've got multiple people with 25 heroic clears, multiple with 10 heroic clears, and mixes of both. So we've seen a lot. So outside of just Warcraft logs where we know things can be cheesed, like how does everyone feel about general class balance? And we can touch on the whole DKs. Are they overpowered? What's the best healers? All of that. So it's not just DPS. But like, what's your feelings, Rihani? Like overall on class balance at the moment.
I mean, in every single tier list video that I made, I said that Cataclysm has very good balance, so you'll get away with playing pretty much anything. With some exceptions in the very sweaty guilds, and I still kind of think that way, but man, the difference in tanking between a DK and a non-DK, a DK they're already playing mop. They're already in Throne of Thunder. They're the only ones with the proper active mitigation and all of these the cooldowns, and man, the block tank especially need something desperately. And I think that hopefully we'll see something, a little love come their way soon, as they suggested before that they would be looking at tuning things based on representation in the raids, which I played a 10-man heroic raid on my warrior, did 12k DPS on Chimeron, and got a rank 1 log.
I'll do that as a disc priest.
yeah. I mean, really. So clearly, people aren't playing, especially warrior. Paladins are not getting that much play either. People thought they were going to be stronger than they ended up being. Where the only real utility they bring is the
Divine Guardian.
Divine Guardian.
Yeah. I mean, that is pretty big though for progress. But I think once you get to the point where you just don't you're not as reliant on raid cooldowns, it's like, well, why take one? After that. And that pains me to say, as a Paladin main, like I wish Prot Paladin was the go-to tank. I'm not being a dick about that. But it is kind of like can your raid survive without a 20%, damage reduction cooldown? If you can, then kinda no reason to take one.
Yeah.
So
Really.
Do you think Blizz would be able to solve the tank issue with adding in a new glyph, or would they have to go in there and manually change something in regards to like their mastery or something like that, like Rick was pointing out there in chat? Or like would they'd have to change something that maybe a couple phases down the line it's like, oh whoa, this changed, now we got to scale it back some, or like what do you think?
Yeah, I've been ruminating a lot on it. I've been taking long showers, really just taking on my thinking cap and channeling my inner Socrates to really get to the root issue here and find a solution. But whatever route you go down, there seemed to be some problem with the solution. I think one easy fix that they could do is increase the base mastery value that you get as a tank. So not necessarily the per point mastery gain that you get, but the base levels that you can actually hit CTC cap in phase 1. Because otherwise I think the scaling will get way out of control down the line, and they'll have to roll that back, and that rollback is going to feel
Bring the floor up, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, doing that rollback is going to feel terrible. So I think bringing the floor up is probably a better solution, and especially now because mastery is already the best stat for block tanks by far. So imagine, upping the value you get from mastery as well. And that's just going to make any item that doesn't have mastery a complete meme, and more than it already is. Some people say that, or I was talking to Subtle, who had a idea about warrior specifically, at least, getting a rework to their impending victory talent, which is when they get to sub 20% HP, they have a 50% chance to get a victory rush proc that heals like 5%, which is nothing, and it's only sub 20% HP. But instead, just removing the HP requirement of the target and just always having it as a baseline, and increasing the healing gain from it, and also extending it to other spells than Devastate, so you're not just locked into a spec where you have to press Devastate and completely ruin your playstyle because of it. Which I don't think is necessarily going to solve anything. It's going to make them stronger for sure, but they're definitely not going to be the main tank material still with that change.
Yeah, they just have to be careful with that affecting PvP, from what I'm thinking. Like, that sounds like warrior with extra self-healing in PvP. I don't know.
Yeah, but you have to go down the prot tree to get it. So, I mean,
people play prot specs in arenas, trust me.
Yeah,
and like RBGs too, yeah.
RBG maybe, but even then, you're playing your feral druid. It's a flag carrier, and in arena, yeah, if you're playing at 1400 MMR, sure, you're getting a lot of prot paladins.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
But yeah, I honestly don't know the solution, and I would love to hear what other people think about it. And like someone said in the chat, once they hit CTC cap, they're all going to be fine. I think the set bonuses for warrior specifically in like Dragon Soul are huge. So I would not be surprised at all if we see a lot of prot warrior representation down the line.
Yeah, I like the whole, the route the tanking goes down in MOP. If they could almost bring some of that forward, which it is. They basically took the Cata DK tank style and then applied it to all classes in MOP. There's no, when you got brewmasters with their big guard usages. So just give him some absorb, sort of like, I don't know, when you use a 3 holy power shield of the righteousness, you gain 5% of it as an absorb shield that stacks.
Yep.
Yeah, something along those lines where it's like. Because at the moment, you got no choice on what you use it on. It's like Inquisition for AoE threat, which is still kind of lackluster. You do a fairly pathetic Word of Glory that's got a 20-second cooldown.
Yeah.
Or you just do a big single target hit. Like, if you've done that big single target hit and then gained some mitigation from it on a future hit, like, to me, that's kind of a no-brainer. With Warrior, I completely agree. I think it should be like a chance for Victory Rush to be able to be used. But also, if you're at 100% health, then it grants what it would have healed as a shield, as an absorb shield. So, like, along those lines. So, I think it is just that giving the others a little bit more of self-sustainability, because that's really what they lack. And that's where the DK is great. It's like, fucking send the DK off, go and solo tank Nazir. You don't need a healer. Like, you'll be all right. Just go and chill. Yeah, there's so much that you can do with a DK that you physically cannot do with another tank. No matter how good that tank is, no matter how well good they are.
Yeah.
What about DPS? Is there any DPS? Go. Like, I don't put you on the spot very often, but like, how do you feel about Boomy performance overall? Because it's probably one of the. I'm not going to say lowest performers, but it's definitely not a top performer. Like, how's it feeling in raids?
Doesn't feel that bad. It's a lot of me knowing the fights, and if I know the fights, then I'm usually top in the 10-man, like top 3 in the fight. Rep Pallies seem to be doing really well in our raid. We're not like all 99s or nothing like that, so maybe that sort of raid would look a lot different. But I'm not in like a dad guild either. I think we're like maybe one step up above the dad guild, so we're a little bit better than Rihani's guild. But
Of course.
I don't know. Like hunters seem to be doing a lot of damage depending on the fight. Like fire mages are doing a lot higher than I thought that they would because of how little crit that they have. I was expecting
that cracks me up.
Yeah, I thought Arcane was going to be the meta, at least for phase 1, until crit came online, and now it's like Arcane is just in the dumpster and fire's just blasting. So
But that's what I said on these podcasts, like about ages before launch, and everyone's like, "Oh, you'll be Arcane in phase 1." It's like I'll be fire in phase 1. Like, there's no way I'm going Arcane. No one's playing Arcane. Like Combust is just too strong. It's a frustrating spec, but like, yeah, it's. I'm surprised by the amount they're doing, though. I would have put money on Fire being better than Arcane in Phase 1, but I didn't realise how good it was going to be. I would have never predicted Mages was going to be pumping like they are. I thought it would have been fairly middle of the pack until Firelands.
Yeah. There's a couple of fights like Conclave where those ads just don't count, and a lot of our burst damage is from our mushrooms. So it's like we might be doing pretty good on our details for a fight like Conclave or even Magma. If a Boomkin is helping with the parasite damage and just doing like loads of damage in solar phase with a huge mushroom 3-hit, then yeah, we're gonna be pumping, but it's just not gonna reflect on the logs. So I think like in game we're doing decent. Like I don't think that you can like a lot of the top guilds weren't bringing a Boomkin for the race, but maybe that's changed. Maybe they're looking at balanced druid damage now and they're like, hey, they deserve a spot. So let me send it over to Jugs. Like, how are you feeling on like the meta, the meta for raids for like 25? Does balanced druid have a spot, or are you just taking other classes that are just outperforming?
I mean, as far as Firelights comps, I can neither confirm nor deny. Can't talk about some of that stuff.
Fair.
But yeah, I think generally speaking, again, it always comes down to context, right? Like if you're in a dad guild or whatever, like you can basically play whatever the hell you want. Like it really doesn't matter. Like you don't really have to like giga meta game and min max in that sense if you don't really want to. It just all kind of depends on the context of your guild. That being said, I think there is some things that struggle. As far as the tanks, like yeah, I think block tanks bringing up that floor would be great. Maybe even they get like some kind of absorb on critical blocks or something. Like I don't know, like maybe for warriors reworking spell reflect to be closer to AMS or something like that would be cool. I know there's kind of the niches of like tanks that are good for certain things and whatever, but you get to the point where if one tank's just good at everything, then it's like you're not gonna really sit there and swap people mid-raid per boss because their tank's better in a niche environment in typical cases. So I don't know. I feel like making them on par could be good solutions. But as far as like DPS goes, I think every class or every class has generally good representation in some form. Druid might struggle the most because unless you have a feral off tank, like you don't really have monocats. Boomies, you might have one, and maybe you don't have any. Resto druids are pretty decent, but can be potentially outshined. I think a lot of people weren't expecting to get this version of kind of like Holy Radiance for H-Pals, and H-Pals are just kind of blasting as raid healers right now. So that's a bit different. So maybe you could say druid representation is a little wish-washy. But I think like shamans are in a good place. Like Resto I think is a lot better than people thought it was going to be early on. A lot of people were like, it's dead until Dragon Soul, but it's not really the case. Ellie is obviously blasting. Enhancements a little rough right now. They could probably do some things for enhance. Hunters are generally in a good place. Survival's really strong. The other specs maybe not so much right now. Yeah, mages are fine. Warlocks, you can play Affy and Demo on both. It's actually probably better to actually swap and not be a one trick of either or, depending on the fight. So I think generally, people are in pretty good place. Fury is pretty down bad compared to Arbs. So maybe you could do something with Fury. I don't know. From what I was told, Fury used to be pretty good in the OG early katas, and then it kind of got nerfed and changed and whatever. So the version we're getting right now is the the version of you're in T12 or T13 BIS and you got nerfed down kind of thing, or even Firelands. So current Fury is a little sad right now.
Same with
But I
Marksman.
think, yeah, I think that's like generally the case for a lot of specs right now. Ret is great. They have a really good burst profile on some fights. If you time your cooldowns well, you can definitely crank. So yeah, I think generally we're in a pretty good place. The only ones that like maybe could use some help is like maybe Mono Cat, maybe Enhance, maybe Hunter's specs other than Survival, maybe Fury. But like generally speaking, like if you're playing a class, there is a spec you can play, which I know was the argument Blizzard had way back in Wrath when we were talking about like people wanted ret buffs. They're like ret buffs, ret buffs, ret buffs. And I know
Boogie
the
buffs.
initial response was Paladin has good representation as far as prot paladins and holy paladins, so we're not really that worried about paladins. That was their original stance on like why not to buff Ret, but then it seems like they kind of backtrack and ended up buffing Ret anyways. So I don't know. I know they mentioned being open to class balance, so hopefully we see some things. I know they just tweaked Boomkins with nerfing the mastery pre-pull stuff. They didn't seem to do that to Demo Lock.
Yeah.
But I know
Like,
they,
what?
buffed your insect swarm and stuff like that. So who knows? Maybe maybe we'll see the return of a shattering throw glyph. That'd be cool. I don't know why it disappeared, but
Well,
yeah.
you know what? I actually think that Boomkin is in a really good state. I was tuning into to Go as he was raiding in his 10-man guild, and he was in the top 8 every single time. And
Jesus. No, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. No
Yeah.
way.
I can guarantee
I must have missed that raid.
he was on something, let me tell you.
He had me in the first half there. I was like, oh, he was tuning into my raid. Okay. Oh, I see.
Oh.
Instant rip.
Yeah, like, fuck, he got me.
There's a couple of classes I'd like to see addressed, and probably for different reasons or reasons that you probably wouldn't expect. And one of them would be BM Hunter. I don't play a Hunter. I've not got an 85 Hunter. I've not even got an 80 Hunter. But I'd like to see BM Hunter.
How much did Stark pay you?
No, this is this is not. It's not for Stark. It's actually more for like raids in general, specifically 10-mans. It would be great for those where you need an exotic pet to be able to bring a specific buff. Maybe it's a Hysteria, for example, Ancient Hysteria. So you've got Lust. It would be nice if BM. I don't really care about Marksman, but it would be nice if BM was at least competitive enough to be able to be played. So you was like, we're missing this buff. I know you need to be BM to bring the 3% damage. Let's say the 3% damage and Ancient Hysteria, so you could bring both, and not feel ridiculously punished by having to go BM. Like, that's probably the biggest one for me. I actually would like. I think Survival should still do more. Like, but I think BM shouldn't be so bad that no hunter wants to play it. And the other one, yeah, I mean, it just goes back to tanks. Like, honestly, the other one for me just would be Prop Warrior. Like, if I wanted to see one changed, even more so than Prop Paladin. I'd like to see more Prop Warriors in raids, because I just think they bring so much to the raid. Like, having a Prop Warrior as an off tank, I think their toolkit's fucking fantastic, and it just sucks that no one wants to really run one.
I've got one that Scotty might have some input on, and it's for something we haven't talked about yet. We've talked about tanks, we've talked about DPS. What about healers? And I'm looking at the Holy Priest. I know you can have Disc Priest and heal. You have all these cooldowns. You've got pain suppression, PI. You've got whatever's at
Barrier.
the bottom of the tree, the barrier. Yeah. So what about the Holy Priest? It doesn't look like they're getting played that much. Maybe in RBGs. I didn't check RBG stats, but it doesn't look like they're being used in arenas, not being used in raids. So do Holy Priest need to be viable in raids, or is it okay that there's just Disc Priest? Because I came up with a suggestion to maybe justify bringing a holy priest, and it would be to add a chakra. So this chakra would be kind of like a half version of what's it called? Like a raid wide 20% damage reduction for 6 seconds, and then it would give you like a migraine so that you couldn't cast it again for like 90 seconds. It would be kind of like a mage ice block where you get hypothermia. So chakras are like 30-second cooldown, so you'd be able to use it like every second, every third, whatever chakra.
Yeah,
So
but then you're having to gimp either your single target or raid healing just to be able to use a raid cooldown. You'd still take a disc priest. Like there would still be no reason. I mean, I'm with you. Like again, holy priest is one of those where it would be nice to see some representation. I don't think they're unplayable. Like I've had my priest as disc shadow, but I want to go disc holy because I still think there's fights in tier 11 where a holy priest would be stronger than a disc priest. Like I really do. Where barrier's not needed. But like I don't know. Like I still think disc's toolkit is just so big. And the HPS and it's more so what you bring outside of just the healing, isn't it? Like my damage is fucking like all right, it's not insane,
too, yeah.
but it's good. You know, when you think I'm bringing another tank's worth of damage as one of the healers, and you know, normally first or second on the healing in a 25 man as well. Like it's kind of fucking mental. Like you're going to need a holy priest to be able to not only bring all those cooldowns that we've already mentioned and bring some damage to the boss, but also then be able to get first or second on the healing on every boss. Or they need to be fucking head and shoulders above every other healer. Their healing is just so strong that you don't need any of that other shit. Like they're just going to carry the AoE healing. Unfortunately, they don't do any of that. They're just like a mediocre sort of single target healer, a fairly mediocre raid healer. You're relying on people having to stand in your healing, a bit like Healing Rain. If you're trying to do like really, really successful AoE heals, like pumping out big HPS across the raid. I don't know, like for me, I can't think of many scenarios where without massive changes you would want a Holy Priest.
Yeah, I mean,
just my opinion.
For sure.
I feel like Holy Priests are in a weird spot, and I feel like for a similar reason as to why I feel like Resto Druid is in a weird spot too. But I think that out of the two, the Resto Druid is doing a hell of a lot better in this phase at least. But Holy Priest can output very, very, very solid healing numbers. I think especially so in the later phases, and especially so in a 10-man situation where you can do the renew spam, staying in one chakra type of thing. Mm-hmm. And I know that back in the days, a lot of the Holy Priest could solo heal the raid doing that, and they could do really high output. But the reason why the Resto Druid and the Holy Priest is kind of in a weird spot is because during progression, the value of damage reduction is just so high. What are you... Like, you have Trank. Wow, great for your your details and your logs. But how are you going to heal someone who get one shot by Crackle? You need that raid wide cooldown reduction or the damage reduction on the raid, and not to mention pain suppression. Such a valuable tool. And then what Scott mentioned, if you had two hunters in your group and one of them was doing 12k DPS less than the other one, you'd be outraged. You'd bring in the other hunter in the officer channel, have a little talk to him and be like, hey, look, this is not okay. But for healers, we don't think that way. But 12k DPS is huge, and if there's no huge healing, reduction really because of that, and you also then have all of these tools on top of that, man, there's so little reason to go holy over disc right now.
Yeah, and another good thing is obviously just that, like divine aegis, where so like every time you do like prayer of healing on a group, it puts an absorb on everyone. So like being able to like if you've got decent levels of mastery, and before a crackle comes in, you're throwing literally a couple of prayer of healings out. That's less damage that crackle's going to do. Like I just think disc is in a really good place. Like I love my disc, and I didn't expect to. And this, I hope there's no one in the NA raids of the guild that's watching. But I picked disc to go and raid with them purely because I was like, it's the one I care about the least. I was like, out of all my characters, I don't give a shit about it. Like whatever, I'll go and raid with them on that. And it's very quickly becoming the one that I enjoy the most, which is worrying. But I love it. I just think you've got so much control as a disc priest. I really, as part of the healing team, I really feel like I'm making an impact on kills, with good cooldown usage, with good sort of proactive healing rather than trying to react to the damage before it, after it's come in. So yeah, I kind of hope that they don't do anything with Holy Go, if I'm honest, because I might then not want to play it.
Well, what if they nerf disc because, like you're saying, it's so fucking OP? You might have just no. Nerf it.
I honestly still think Holy Paladins are actually still better if we're talking in terms of pure healing. But actually in terms of just what a disc brings to a raid, I think it's phenomenal.
Any input on that one, Jugs, about Holy Priest? Or like I imagine you probably got two of them lined up for your Firelands comp.
We were pretty much the only guild in the race that really ran a Holy Priest on a majority of fights, actually. I think Resto Druid and H-Priest are pretty similar, pretty interchangeable right now. I feel like for a lot of groups, there's typically the staple of 2 Pallies, probably a full-time Arsham, a Disc Priest, and that's kind of your core 4 right now. And if you have a 5th, it's probably a Druid. And then if you have a 6, it's probably another Priest. It looked like, looking through a lot of the logs of race guilds or guilds right now, most of the time, if they're running a Flex Healer, it's a Priest. So like there'll be Shadow on some fights or double disc on another one or something like that. And like I was saying earlier, I think a lot of people were kind of surprised with the raid healing output of HPOW right now with Holy Radiance. Is actually pretty huge. Like traditionally, they're the tank healers, but right now it's like the disc and the Arsham could be more of the tank healers. And the HPALs are just cranking with Holy Radiance, not only with the healing, but the shielding as well. It's basically disc prayer healing, more or less, just kind of better, I guess. And Light of Dawn and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it depends a lot on the kind of makeup and whatnot of your guild and how you guys are handling duties in that sense. Who's actually assigned to tank healing and who's not. You can have a bit of flexibility, but I think HP is definitely viable. But like you said, if you have other options, maybe you bring something else. But yeah. I think they're fine. You're not gonna just like not kill bosses because you have an H-Priest. But yeah, I think as healers, I think generally healers are in a pretty good place right now. Like I said, like everything's kind of fine. I think disc and H-Pals are top tier right now. Arsham's very useful with how much you rely on Spirit Link for certain strategies, or tank healing. But even just telling people to please stand in blue does a lot of healing. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like healers are in a pretty good place.
All right. Well, we've got Jugs for about another 15 minutes here. We've got a couple more topics to talk about.
I can keep going. It's fine.
Okay. I mean,
right.
we've got Rihani for 3 more hours.
Well, we'll have a decent cutoff. Let's go for another half hour. Like some of these topics we can either skip or tear through. So,
we say that now.
Yeah. I think this next one might be quick. We'll see what happens. And we'll let Jugs kick off with this one. Let's do that. So, I sort of titled this topic Now and Next in Classic. And it was actually more or less the point of the podcast, which has not quite worked out. what? So we've got around about a 1 year cadence of Cata, based on what Blizzard have said. So it'll be about a year from launch until when we're in the MOP pre-patch, which obviously we're definitely getting MOP. What's your thoughts on that, Jugs? In terms of based on what we've done so far, do you think 1 year feels about enough, or is it too long, too short?
It seems like kind of a mixed bag, where you have like people were complaining that some of it seemed like it was going to be too short, but then it seems like other people are like, yes, please rush through Cata and get us to MOP as soon as possible. So I guess it kind of depends who you talk to. I think right now, like waiting for Firelands until October is maybe a little long for this phase. I mean, maybe I'm a little skewed because, we full cleared everything day one and have been for a while. So like I'm already over it, where I know some guilds are, still progressing and stuff like that. So it's kind of different. I don't know. I think the cadence is probably fine. I guess that time will tell about, people who want Firelands to kind of sit a little longer, but I mean, it's a short raid. So like, I don't know. I feel like people are saying that, but like it's a lot less content than T11. So I feel like it's going to be a pretty short sub-hour in and you're out kind of raid. So I don't know. It depends. I mean, if they want to make some changes to either difficulties or maybe, who knows, maybe they want to make some changes to Dragon Soul to alleviate some of the things people didn't like about it or completely change fights. That'd be kind of cool, but don't know. I think generally speaking, though, the cadence is decent where it's at. I know there was the kind of caveat they put when they originally put that post on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, with the roadmap, and people were like, "Wow, that seems fast." And the caveat was kind of, "This is the fastest it's going to be. It might be longer." So we'll see. I'm kind of content either way.
Rihani, your thoughts?
Well, it's I think that the Cata roadmap is too short because it sounds fine now, but we're gonna have a lot of fun in Cata when they start implementing the scaling heroic plus difficulty with a timer and the loot box at the end, and score leaderboards, and once that comes around, we're gonna be wanting to be in Cata for a long time. I'm
with you.
Just smoking my
pass the crack pipe
over here.
Pass the crack pipe. I want some of that.
Let's go around the whole table here, man. But I think it's good that they're doing a faster cadence. I would have switched it around a little bit, but it is what it is. But I want to get to Pandaland too. I'm feeling good about Panda as a tank, and I want to play a monk, and I want to play it yesterday.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I think a year is about right for Cata, because like I said before we even went live, I do feel like it's a great time to have two options. So for those that are playing Cata and Season of Discovery, it's perfect. You're playing Season of Discovery that requires a couple of weeks each phase just to get established, and then you raid login. You're playing Cata that takes maybe a week to get geared enough to then start raid logging heroic raids. Both sort of go together nicely. Whereas MOP needs to be longer, because MOP has got those dungeons that you can do where you're on a timer and you need to get either bronze, silver, or gold. But yeah, I kind of feel like at the moment a year it feels about right. I think phase one might get to a point for me. Maybe it's a me problem where it outstays its welcome. On the basis we're going to have Zolgarum and Zola Man coming out. I reckon by the time that comes out, I'm going to be like, well, I don't need that shit. I'm kind of bored of farming tier 11. But again, that's why we pay for one sub. I'm playing retail. I'll be playing a bit of Sod Phase 4. Yeah, that's why I'm playing other things, which actually is a nice problem to have.
That's true.
My only issue that I've been thinking about the past couple days is Firelands being, I think it was like 3 months according to the schedule that they posted, and it's like I want to have the legendary staff. I can't imagine how many legendary staffs 25 player guilds are going to be able to get in that short of a time. So it's like Firelands is what, 7 bosses?
Yeah.
If they opened that up to be able to do 10 and 25 like they did with Buried and Hold, that was purely a dev decision to change it so that you could do it 10 and 25.
Of course.
Definitely not a bug that they didn't want to try to tackle. But yeah, like Firelands, and even Dragon Soul, because it's only 8 bosses, I think. Like, let us do those on 10 and 25. Keep the phases short, and we can get our loot a little bit quicker because we were able to do both raid sizes. Like right now in phase 1, there's 3 different raids. There's 4 if you want to include Buried and Hold, but there's so many bosses right now, and then it's just going to be cut in half next phase, and it's going to be like, whoa, like where did all the raid time go? So yeah, if the cadence seems fine as long as there's more stuff to do in Firelands and Dragon Soul, like tier 12, tier 13.
Doing 25 man while in 2 splits, while doing 10 man in 5 splits does not sound appealing to me, and I think I would probably want to spend at least one night every week with my wife, and I don't think that your solution calls for that.
You don't think you can do 10 and 25 in the same night? Just go into Firelands and smash it? Like,
look, if I could put together a roster and it would be on my volition, absolutely we could go ahead and do that. But if we're gonna get as many staffs as possible, then that means that hey, Rihani, I know you have that warrior and that druid and that paladin that you got ready as well. Since we need more tanks for a 10-man run, so you're going to need to do that every night too. And of course, we're going to do a second 25-man split because they drop more fragment than 25-man. So
yeah, I don't think it's a solution now, personally. I think if we was to have 10 and 25-man where you could do both, in my opinion at least, that should have been from the get-go. That should have been with tier 11. Then it would have put a lot less emphasis on ults anyway. I think then doing it like halfway through the expansion would be weird, especially then to go into MOP and then that's taken away again. Like, I don't know, like it would be strange. And I was all for that. Before launch, I would have liked to have been able to do 10 and 25 on the same character, but then if that was the case, I wouldn't be raiding on 4 characters. I'd only be raiding on 2. Like it would have it would have made a difference to how I played the game, like overall. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all they need to do is just really, really speed up the acquisition of Dragon's Wraths. They're just going to have to make it so you can more or less get one every, 3 weeks. If it's going to be 3 months, realistically, you need to be able to get one. If you're doing 25-man heroic full clears, you should be able to make a staff every 3 weeks. I think that's like a fair amount. You're going to get like 4 staffs in your raid, and then you do splits. You're going to get 8. You do more splits than that, you could get more. But you know what I mean. I think realistically, you want to be going into Dragon Soul with at least 4 staffs, so that would feel a bit shit. Imagine going into Dragon Soul and you've only got 1.
Yeah. And then going back to Firelands after you're done with Dragon Soul as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we definitely don't want to be constantly, like, we don't want the Alduar effect where you feel like during TOGC you was being forced to go back because they fucked the item levels up. Like current tier mandatory, previous tier optional. When you start making the previous tier mandatory, I can't get behind that.
That's what a lot of people liked about Classic, though. They're like, oh, it's cool that I have to go back to Molten Core to get an Onslaught Girdle off Rag and AQ, and people like that, things and that are are still relevant.
There's reasons I don't
So-
play Classic Era Jugs.
Yeah, no, I mean totally fair. Yeah, I agree. It depends. I don't like that either. I wouldn't want to do that either. So yeah, I mean our plan is definitely every caster and probably even the Disc Priest has a staff going into Dragon Soul. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, all right. So 1 year cadence, I think, depending on what they do with Firelands, because that is the most important one. Let's face it. Dragon Soul, if only one of your rogues in your guild gets the daggers, who gives a shit? They're going to be irrelevant. As soon as the pre-patch hits, it's kind of like a token legendary, in my opinion. That's certainly not one that we would be worrying about too much. But getting staves for all the casters, it's a big deal. So depending on how they handle that, a year is probably about right, which I'm glad about because MOP can't happen quick enough for me. Like I love MOP. I love two things. I love tier 11, which we're now balls deep in, and then just the entirety of MOP. I like Firelands, Dragon Soul. I could take it or leave it if I'm honest. But next topic, go on. Lead.
Before we go on to the next
go on.
topic, I just need to drag this out for another 3 hours, so that's why.
Perfect.
I was, we were smoking a little bit about that hopium earlier about the Mythic Plus system, but man, can they please do something interesting with dungeons? Because I feel like the alpha dungeons really missed the mark, in my opinion. Maybe it's the content is not for me, but man, that felt so uninteresting.
I think
that is
what
the
you
next
said
topic.
was spot on. Like, it is the next topic, so at least it's in nicely. Yeah, nicely. We'll go on to this Heroic Plus dungeons. I think what you said when we was joking about copium and all that shit. I think you were spot on. That's exactly what we need. It's just what we. I don't want to sound like too negative around Season of Discovery because again I will be playing it, but I think it's going to largely depend on the success of Phase 4. I think if Phase 4 is a big success, they'll remove development time from Cata, and we'll get some shit Heroic Plus. If Phase 4 flops, they'll probably have more time to put into Cata, and we may get something like Challenge Modes or Mythic Plus, something a bit more interesting. And I would be all for it. I want to put it out there, I love the Cataclysm dungeons, all of them. There's not one. I don't get in one and I'm like, thrown in the tides. I get thrown in the tides and I'm like, for fuck's sake, why this shithole? But every other dungeon, I get in and I'm like, cool. I love Dead Mines. Honestly, it's my favourite one. I'm weird. I love Dead Mines. And all of them are great. And having them in Mythic or Challenge Mode with an actual leaderboard on your server that everybody can just open when they go to, the Challenge Mode version of the dungeon in game and see, look, Go and these guys, they're fucking top on the server. Let's try and beat them. Like, that would be amazing. Like, literally the best content in Cata. I'd rather do that than raid.
I feel like
I
that would
agree.
get
And
kept pretty quick. It'd be like, you're not this DPS. This is the meta comp to run this speed run. So sorry, rogues don't get to join for some reason or something. Like, it's got to be a specific tank. There's going to be a meta. There's a specific healer, and if you're not one of those, then good luck.
Yeah, but that's going to happen with everything. Like, that's going to happen with gold challenge modes in MOP. So can't really worry about that.
It is, but also to a certain extent, I feel, you don't log on to retail and queue up for Mythic Plus and really worry about spec and class until you get to 15th in the current season. And I feel like that's very much going to be the same case, except for maybe tanks in a Cata environment as well. And it also, I think, Dead Mines, just looping around to Scotty's philosophy as well, is that Dead Mines, I think, is a great dungeon, but when your objective is to get in there and knock out a heroic dungeon to get your valor point cap, you are very much gonna sigh when you see that Dead Mind's loading screen.
That's fair.
But in a in a Mythic Plus type of environment, then if you look at Legion, for example, yeah, like Maw of Souls, that was a short one, felt very good when you got a key for that, but it's not like Halls of what was that one called with the Odin type of dungeon.
Halls of Valor, I think.
Halls of Valor, yeah. It's not like that one was frowned upon because it was longer. You had a longer timer. It was it was ultimately about completing the objective and not just speeding through things. I think that would give some good life into the dungeons as well. But yeah.
Well, I don't know
have,
what they can do with
dev time.
Jugs.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't know if they have the dev time and their priorities of balancing Cata and Sod stuff, like where this lines up, because it's always a give or take, right? Like they have a prioritized feature list from a project management point of view of these are the things we can allocate resources to, and like these are the most important. If this other thing becomes what the community wants, it's going to cost something. So it's them trying to figure out what's the most kind of value for player value or anything when it comes to that kind of thing. So if it's not already slated, then it's like getting that to be a new priority. I think they had hinted towards there being some kind of similar to Wrath system with dungeons. So maybe I don't know if I'll get full blown Mythic Plus type stuff, because that's probably a pretty hefty ask.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That would be cool.
I've got to be honest. I just don't know what they would do. So that was going to be my point. Like when you compare Wrath, like what they've done with Titan Room dungeons, like how do you do that with Cata? Like if they put it in phase 2. Is it literally like they're gonna drop BWD Bastion like normal gear, which you can literally just spam random heroics and get 359s and get 3 pieces of tier anyway from the then justice points. Like you wouldn't even need Valor. You'd only need justice points to get them in phase 2. Phase 3 technically, because phase 2 is just going to be Zolgar and Zolderman. I just feel like the whole Valor, what they've done with a Valor cap, and the gear that you're going to be able to get with Justice points when Firelands comes out, it kind of makes it pointless. You'd probably want to just get Justice points as quickly as possible, get your trinket, get your ring, get 3 pieces of tier, get boots. Like you can get so much in such a short space of time without adding any challenge of whatever like the alpha version of the dungeons would be.
Because then you will have a unique currency called dragon kill points that you need to get 59 of in order to buy your heroic version of Heart of Rage.
Yeah, I mean that would be fucking horrible, but yeah, it would be. They'd have to do something along those lines.
That's how it was in Wrath.
Yeah, you could get the hard mode Alderwar gear, yeah. But it weren't in the first ones, was it? You could only get normal Nax gear. Like that was literally it. It was just like normal Nax gear, like as in 10-man Nax gear. So it was like,
but no one played the first go, so.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, just farming for Alderwar hard mode gear, and then what was it? It was Scourge Stones next, so you could get TOGC. You can only get but then you could only get normal as well. You could only get TOC normal.
That's true.
So it was never. Yeah, it was 10-man hard mode Alderwar gear. Oh no, they did add trinkets as well, didn't they? They added 25.
And they added the 25 Alderwar ones. Yeah,
and the weapons too. So it'd be nice to be able to get on an alt, do a Titan Rune Alpha Cata version, and get your weapons, get your normal trinkets too, not just the vendor trinkets, and get your 4-piece. Put the tier items on the last boss of the dungeon, and you can like the tier helm and shoulder tokens or whatever, and you can get your 4-piece instead of just 3.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, I wouldn't be against. I don't. At that point, I'm not going to care. Like whatever people want in terms of catch-up gear, like yeah, it's not going to have an impact on my life. But I don't know. It'd be nice to see him do something a little bit more imaginative, you know, to give even because all that aims at is fresh characters, like mainly alts at that point. Like, yeah, okay, you're gonna get some new players. Don't get me wrong, but I'd like them to actually add a version of 5-man content that caters to everyone, not just the people that need to get some gear. Exactly, repeatable content, 100%. Otherwise, you're just doing the same old shit you done in Wrath, where it's relevant to someone for about 3 days, and then it's not relevant anymore.
And then you're back to raid logging.
Yeah. I mean, if there was some form of currency that came from it that you could spend on certain items at the same time, but it still kept it relevant. So let's say, you know, me and Rihani are challenging each other. He's group and our group, and it's like, right, let's see who can do it the fastest. We're fully geared, but we also are getting this currency at the end that maybe even, like, if we don't need gear, like, we can buy something else with it. We can save up and buy tokens to upgrade our heirloom chest and shoulders to level 85. We get like so you get
that would be a great
So everybody can get something, but like the purpose of it isn't just giving out loads and loads of loot to alts.
Yeah.
We'll get none of this. Just
Absolutely.
just a nice little chat.
Absolutely not. We're just dreaming here.
A lot of people have, I feel like, some pretty hard different stances on catch-up gear and liking it or not liking it. I'm definitely probably on the more extreme of like, shit, as soon as I hit 85, like, give me Joyous Journeys for all my alts, give me bind on account reps. Like, I don't want to do any of this stuff on my alt. So maybe I'm more on the like lazy side, whereas other people like, you know, the leveling process, the grinds, and things like that. So
I'm with you. I'm on the lazy side.
Yeah.
So, were you tuning in, Jugs, last week when I gave out my
Hot
amazing take on the shoulder enchants not being bind on account, that was a shit change?
Yeah, I feel like they should. I mean, even the tabards should. Like I said, I just think bind on account reps, just period, in my mind.
Man, Go, can you stop it with the hot takes? I don't want this podcast to be taken down as well because of the comment section. You know?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Don't make me call you it again.
I was trying to stir up Scotty again so mom and dad could fight.
No, look, you're entitled to your opinion. You like the game, you like it. You know, yeah, we all like it different ways. But for me, I just think, like, I'm all for things where when you've already got a max level character, your next characters are easier in some way. You know, you haven't just got to do the same shit over and over again. But then at the same time, I like that progressively sort of challenging content. I think it's what Classic's missed. All like to this day, it's missed that reason to really, and it's Season of Discovery as well, by the way, not just Classic, has missed that reason to actually go and do dungeons past the point of getting gear. No one plays this game to actually have fun, do they? They play the game to get as much gear as possible and pass. And you know, you can almost like hone in on that mentality of we want to be the best and we want to have those passes by going, well, here you go, here's repeatable 5-man content. Go and fucking knock yourself out. You know, you can do that all day long. There's no resets. It's not once a day. There's many times you want with as many people as you want, and try and get the best score. Try and get the best time. Try and get the best rating, like whatever it is. And then maybe even then expand it into 10-man. Can you imagine like 10-man challenge mode raids? Not about loot. Everyone's scaled down to the same eye level when you walk in, or scaled up to the, no, not up, only down. So you do actually have to do some prep before you go in, but you're scaled down to the same eye level, and now you're going, you know, it's speed running. Like, people have been speed running since Classic, like 2019. Well, before that, even in retail. Like, it would be awesome if like 10-man content would add a speed running leaderboard that you could see in game, and it was just server wide. And Warcraft logs can, you know, make it worldwide. Like, that's cool. But I'd love to be able to open something in game and go, oh shit, yeah, that guild's got the fastest time with that. Let's try and beat it.
Yeah, because here's the thing, I think that when we're talking about Mythic Plus type of content, we are that's the fine stuff on the street. You can't just get that type of stuff anywhere. You have to really, that's the real good stuff we're smoking right there. But I mean, challenge mode dungeons aren't really that out of the realm of possibilities of things to implement in Cataclysm Classic. Just reduce the overall item level, put a timer on there, and slap on a leaderboard, give some incentive to do it, and bada bing, bada boom. That's not that much work. One guy could probably get that done on a good, Thursday afternoon. So, and it's not that that type of content is going to be gate kept that hard, because it's probably going to be achievable by everyone if they're skilled enough, and it's not going to have any reward at the end of the tunnel that makes it worth min-maxing that much for, but it's something fun and something to look to improve in and strive towards getting a big number. And even if you keep going back there, not because you get some reward out of it, but because you want to you get a good number, get some server recognition or whatever.
The same way you'd go back and play COD Zombies. Well, I was a COD enjoyer for a very, very long time, and we would literally play Zombies. You didn't get anything, but we'd just do it just to get last as many waves as possible. I'm putting it into more context just than than just gold challenge modes, because I loved it. I had full gold challenge modes on my monk, my hunter, paladin. It's gear that I use on retail to this day. Now, like in MOP, that was all it gave. It was a transmog set. Yeah. I still use it now. I'd love to see that sort of thing in Classic. But I mean, if you was to break the server record, so let's say Go's group is, they're top on Halls of Origination, and then we beat it, we automatically get a 50% coupon for G2G sent to our email account. Like that would be banging, Blizzard. So like, if you wanna take that, because I'm starting to get low on gold. So yeah, just have a little discount gold on gold buying. That would be awesome.
I did get a lot of.
I meant token. I meant WoW token. Sorry, I meant WoW token. A discount on a WoW token, not G2G. Sorry, slip of the tongue.
So how does that lockout work for that type of thing? Is that like a daily lockout? You can go
as many times as you want.
Once a week.
Just keep going. You're feeling a little bit behind the timer. All right, reset. Let's go again.
Yeah. It's like you wipe. It's like, all right, reset, go again.
Oh, you could literally pull the first trash pack, and if it takes too long, you go out, reset, go again. You fine tune it.
Oh, the amount of rage I can hear Scotty yelling at people for causing wipes from that. Yeah, please bring that in.
It was my favorite content in MOP. Like genuinely, gold challenge modes. I absolutely loved them.
And Proving Grounds, or was that WOD maybe?
I think Proving Grounds was MOP as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was MOP.
I think they started with the endless stuff in WOD maybe.
Yeah,
because you could get bronze, silver, and gold, but then you could do the endless waves in WOD, I think.
Yeah, no, Proving Grounds, and I even liked Brawler's Guild. I thought Brawler's Guild was just was cool, and I remember when it first came out, and like literally people was, all trying to work out how to kill certain bosses, and I like Brawlers. I like that. I know it's not repeatable as such, but like even what was it? Like you had to get out, was it 30 waves in Proving Grounds or something? I've got the achievements on retail. I could look back at, you wanted to get like platinum or some shit as a tank, as a healer, as a DPS, so you'd do it on multiple classes as well. But I like that. Shit to do outside of just raid, log out, see you next week.
Link Proving Grounds or no invite.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, but in the Dungeon Finder tool, your proving ground score would be associated with your sign up in the raid tool. So you would be able to see if someone was just bronze or silver or gold, or if they had like, you know, endless 30 on the achievement as well. So you didn't even need to link it. It just came with you.
Was that I don't remember that. Was that really a thing?
Yeah. I think that was in WoD though.
Yeah, I mean, I played all through WoD. It's funny because I started back on retail today. I was sat with the boys on Discord just going through and looking at all the stuff that I'd done and the dates that I'd done them back in the day. And yeah, it weren't until the Legion where I just like dropped off and just more or less stopped playing until BFA. But like I don't remember that. I don't remember Proving Grounds going into like that. That's cool though. You know, because that actually further incentivizes you going and doing single player content. I think that's quite cool.
No one gave a shit, but it's still cool.
we would today. Cool.
Yeah, like Nest said, you couldn't queue for heroics without having silver for in WoD. So that was tied to actually queuing heroics. So you needed to prove yourself in the proving grounds before you could queue.
Jesus, yeah, I don't even remember that. That's fucking awesome, though. I like that. Okay, so that's Iraq Plus. So Valor points, really briefly, like with them increasing the you know, so it's a rolling seasonal cap. I've just made an observation recently that like it's kind of made justice points a bit redundant, you know, on any character I've leveled since it went out, the change went out. Like, it's justice points don't seem exciting. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go back and buy a chest. It's like, well, no, I'll get a tier chest. Oh, I'll get some legs. No, I'll get tier legs. You know, like, there's very few items. Like, you could get a head, but then, like, you'll probably go engineer and get the goggles. You know,
yeah.
I feel like justice points have all of a sudden just turned into get Elementium more. Like, what is the point of them anymore? Is there?
You say all of a sudden, but man, I didn't have any use for my justice points until, you know, at day 2 on my DK. It's just it's nothing interesting, and even less so now with the valor point increase, because you're going to be replacing, if you do end up picking up something for justice points, you're going to be replacing it right away with valor points.
Yeah. Thoughts?
I don't know what to do with that.
Jugs go, like any thoughts?
Jugs go, yeah.
About valor points in like general, or
like more justice points. Like, you know, is there anything that could be done with justice points, or do we think they're actually all right for what they are? Or
yeah, I mean, shoot, even a way to like convert it to I don't know, even if it's like a friggin' like 8-to-1 conversion from JP to Valor points would be nice. Like if you turned 4K JP into 500 Valor or something, I don't know. It's hard to say other than adding, you know, more things to being able to be purchased, whether it's Chaos Orbs, whether it's Maelstrom Crystals. I feel like some of those things could have just been available on the vendor at RIP. I don't know. Yeah. There's really not much use for them right now. Maybe there'd be some kind of cool if they added something that's some kind of like gamble, you know, mechanic. You gamble some JP for some kind of random something. Could potentially be something cool.
Yeah, I mean, Nick's saying like there's no need to change, you know, do anything with them. The only reason I bring it up is because I think like justice points before the valor point change were actually quite valuable because they did fill in slots that you couldn't farm out in a single day. You know, so it was like, right, I've got valor capped. I'll get, let's say, well, you'd have to get valor capped for the second week, and then you can get one piece of tier. So then spending justice points on a chest and getting some gloves and belt or like, whatever you're getting, you know, it held value for longer. I'm really like an advocate for them actually bringing forward the token system for heirlooms. I mentioned it earlier on when we were talking about something completely different. But, you know, having things that you can grind out like token, so it was 4K, but like full fucking cap, 4K justice points for a token that can upgrade a single piece of one of your heirlooms. So you could upgrade your leather chest to now be level 85 instead of 80. That's a fucking lot of justice points if you wanted to upgrade every single heirloom. You know, it's like, again, just like dangling that carrot and being like, look, you may be full geared, like you're full 372 gear, but get in heroics still. Go and do these heroics. Like, you're gonna get a reward of some description.
You know, I think I actually have the best solution to what they could do with justice points. I think that they could have you could purchase a box for 2,000 justice points, and it has a assortment of loot in it. Most of it being item level 339, so pretty bad. Something that you would just disenchant or vendor right away. But there is that 1% chance that there's an Arcano crystal in there. So if any of you played Legion out there,
oh god,
and then it can also Titan Forge. So if you get your Arcano crystal and it doesn't Titan Forge, well, back to grinding justice points again.
I mean, it would stay. It would make them relevant to everyone for a very, very long time.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like maybe some kind of gamble option. I don't know.
I don't know. We can move on from that. Dead topic. Yeah. It was, it's just something that really irritated me on a DK, where I was like, trying to get geared up as fast as possible, and then was like, oh, I've not actually spent any justice points at all on anything because there was just no point, and they literally served zero purpose for me. But all right, cool. Thoughts on Season Discovery and War within retail. We've already spoke about that a little bit, but in terms of like Cataclysm, with people who are playing Cata and enjoying Cata, as a second game, like that, it's exactly why I'm playing retail again, because I'm like, man, do you know what? I miss more difficult raids. I miss like more interesting rotations and mechanics on classes, and even though retail to me does still feel bloated, like it absolutely does. I'm quietly a little bit excited about War Within and hoping that I enjoy it. Do you think we've sort of reached a point now where before it was like, right, you play, you're playing classic, you'll enjoy classic era, like you might want to play SOM because you was playing TBC, you'd still enjoy Season of Mastery. It went sort of towards like the end of Wrath, and it's like, well, still considered sort of classic, the classic trilogy. You'll probably enjoy Season of Discovery. Do you think we're now getting to a point where it's like you're a Cataclysm player, the natural second game is retail, or is the natural second game still something like classic era or Season of Discovery? Like, do you think we've reached a point where we should be now looking more forward than backwards, or?
I'm still looking towards SOD. Like, if Cata, the servers got shut off tomorrow, and it was a choice between War Within or Dragonflight, whatever, or SOD, I'd go play SOD. Like, retail, when I did the MOP remix, just felt so foreign. It felt like a completely different game. The graphics really threw me off, and the dragon riding was kind of cool, I guess, but it just seemed really weird. So I like that classic feel, but SOD is also too classic in my opinion. Like, Cata's a nice little middle ground, because every time I log back on SOD, I'm like, bro, mail takes how long to send again? Like, what the fuck is this? Like, no guild banks. Like, come on. Like, SOD just needs, like, we need an upgraded version of SOD that's kind of more classic plusy than SOD was. I liked SOD for being vanilla at the beginning, and then they started changing it more and more, and I was just like, well, now it's too far gone. Like, if you don't change these other things that I'm personally bitching about, then it hasn't changed enough. So it's weird, but retail still feels too different for me. I might give War Within a chance. I got to go back and watch the BlizzCon announcement because I remember being hyped for it. I was like, "Yo, like fuck Wrath, fuck Cata, fuck Sod, War Within, let's go!" And I don't remember why I felt that way, but I need to go back and give that another shot, and maybe War Within will get some playtime.
Hey, you guys?
I still think the majority of people who play Kata is leaning more like, classic orientated, with the second game being most likely SOD or era. But I gotta say that I'm personally feeling a little bit of that retail itch again, for the reasons we were talking about earlier with Mythic Plus. I was a huge Mythic Plus player back in the days and did the whole the MDI stuff and pushing those high keys with the top 2 to 3 ranks in the world, and that was fun stuff. Getting together with the boys and pushing and getting frustrated and feeling so triumphant when you beat the timer with like 1 second left, man. I'm itching a little bit for that, but I know that feeling will never come back. But it is what it is.
Any interest in War Within with you, Jugs, or Sod? If you had to choose one or the other, like Cata's gone tomorrow, like where would you gravitate?
If Cata wasn't an option,
yeah. Or a different game. Are you like, yeah, fuck
retail.
both of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe retail. maybe mop P server. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely would probably lean towards retail over SOD at this point. Like you were kind of mentioning, you wanted more quality of life and stuff in SOD, and that's why I was kind of saying earlier. It's like that split is quite different for a lot of people, where they like the friction of it, and they only want new content with little changes, versus SOD being very much more seasonal, crazy, more mop remixy type things going on. So I think it really depends who you ask. I think in the perfect world, we have everything. You have fresh versions of, strictly classic versions of classic TBC Wrath, whatever people want. You have a crazy kind of seasonal classic server. You have a classic plus server, and then we keep this train going as long as people want to play it into mop. I'd even be content with WAD. Like if they gave us WAD with the changes and like things that were cut out, like the Shatrath raid and the Tannin Jungle and stuff being what it was supposed to be, like WAD raiding was actually pretty good. Like High Mall was pretty good. Blackrock Foundry was really good raid.
Blackrock Foundry was epic.
Actually, yeah, there's a lot of really good raid content, and that takes you straight into Legion, which a lot of people like. And if you do a lot of the changes there, like I think you could very well like just keep riding it into
Battlelands.
I mean, I don't know, after Legion, but yeah, I think there's definitely interest there. Like I would play SOD or play WAD if it went to that. I'd play Legion if it went to that. Like I'd just keep playing.
Cool. All right. Okay. Which leads us nicely on then. With Cata being short, and the fact that one of your answers there, Jugs, was you'd happily go to a mop private server, which I'll be honest with you, yeah, if Cata crashed and burned, I would probably be playing at the next season of Stormforge whilst also playing retail. That would be me personally. I've got a really big retail itch at the moment, and I don't know why. Literally, the last couple of days, I've been like, I'm fucking craving to like do some hard content, some Mythic Plus with the boys, like just and be a little bit clueless. I'm going in. I haven't played Dragonflight at all. I played the Dragonflight beta. That was it. I've not played Dragonflight since it went live at all. So I'm going in knowing absolutely nothing. And I'm trying not to look anything up, trying not to, watch videos on, this is the best spec. It's like, I'm just going to work it out. And when I go in and I'm like bottom DPS, I'll be like, all right, I need to probably readdress this, like what I'm doing. But I'm also really missing playing monk. Like, you know, from when MUP comes out until Classic ends, I'll be a monk. That's it. Like, probably three monks. I won't play anything else. What have we got? Any sort of wishes for MUP? Like, I don't know how experienced you guys are with MUP. If you play private servers, like I played Stormforge Season 1. I'm playing Season 2, but I've joined very late because of Season of Discovery and Cata. Like, is there anything that you'd like to see them do differently with MUP than what they've done with Cata?
There's one for me I can think of right off the top of my head is they have plans in Phase 4 of SOD to make the world bosses instanced, and they haven't done that in Cata, but I would like that for MUP, because the world bosses were really fun to do, but if you didn't get there first, then you didn't get to do it. You had to wait for respawn. You had to like hope that you would ever be able to do it. Like, has anybody in this call done a world boss in Cata?
I've not seen one.
Yeah, like
Well, we were gonna if they came out earlier.
yeah. So it's like I haven't even seen one spawn. Like I don't know. I don't really have LFG open. So maybe there is people looking for group for world boss, like announcing it, like, yo, this boss is up in Vashir. Whisper invite. I don't know. Like I just
Yeah, but they're not world bosses as world bosses, are they? Like a DK can solo them. It's not.
Yeah. But MOP, you can't solo them, right? Like you needed.
Oh no, yeah,
like,
you need
for those.
Yeah,
so like,
absolutely.
if they were instanced, then I'd like to experience them, and I don't know if I would be able to otherwise if they weren't instanced.
Well, the good thing about the world bosses in MOP is like you've got Shah, aren't you, up in Kunlai Summit. And then you've got the big rhino one. I can't think what his name is in like between Valley of Four Winds and Vale of Eternal Blossom. But that like the Shah drops tier, so like you know it's a bit like they changed it so there was no like VOA or Baradin hold. It was like the world boss is the one that drops the tier gear, but obviously it spawns like I don't know every fucking 20 minutes or something. It's up like a lot. But then there was like a big like not rhino, more like I can't think what his name is. Galleon, thank you, David. Yeah, Galleon. And Galleon dropped more random loot, but you know, like some decent epics. But that's it. But you could literally use your random roll on it. You could go and kill the Shah in Kunlai Summit, and if it didn't drop what you wanted, then you could use a bonus roll to potentially maybe get a piece of tier. Like MOP is fucking perfect, in my opinion. Like if we that's the one expansion I would have never have said it about any other one. Like Wrath, I would have wanted Wrath to end, and I wanted to go to Cata. I want Cata to end, and I want to go to MOP. If they said we'll just stay in MOP but keep adding raids, I'd be all right with that.
As a tank, I agree.
Yeah,
but I will bring up one point here, and this one is one of those that definitely divides the community, and I don't think it's as much big of a deal in MOP as it is in later expansions. But what is your thought on Warforging?
Yeah, I kind of liked it, to be honest with you. I mean, Throne of Thunder is where it came in, wasn't it? And you'd get Thunder Forged. I personally like it, and I always did, and I always will. Obviously, it can be frustrating, and it turns BIS lists into unrealistic BIS and realistic BIS. But I tell you what, it keeps you fucking raiding. Like it's when it's like, oh, I'm full BIS, it's like, what, you got full Thunder Forged? Well, no, you're not full BIS then. Get the fuck in this raid. You know, like it really keeps you going. So no, I'm all for it.
I'm thinking that GDK Peace will be fun with that system.
Oh, fucking hell, can you imagine? Yeah.
But do you think that maybe our degenerate way of playing the game will make it somewhat unsustainable in some ways, that you'll start running splits for, to get funnel Thunder Forged gear into your BIS raiders for the next tier and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would have thought so, but you got to remember that kind of thing only really affects the top like 1% of guilds, don't it? It don't matter to the vast majority.
They are the top 1 but aren't.
Well, yeah, okay, but like realistically, that's not going to affect the majority of people. Like most
No.
people, they'll raid and they'll see a Thunderforged item drop, and it's like eruption in guild chat and like on Discord, and everyone's like, "Oh fuck, like this is awesome." It adds excitement, but then absolutely will bring loot drama. Like there's no two ways about it.
I'm thinking I'm gonna have to work myself onto the loot council for that. That's here.
Yeah. But no, I for me, like I like that, but I like the fact that you can be full bis, and it's a way that Blizzard can extend the tiers as well. It's like, because there is always upgrades to actually get. They haven't got to rush through moppers quick. They haven't got to rush through wadders quick. I don't know. I'd be interested in knowing other people's opinion on it.
I like being able to upgrade my gear. I don't know if that's really the same thing that Warforged was, but I thought there were like what you were talking about with the cloak, Scotty. Like what was that called?
Zuen. What, the
you
cloak of Zuen?
No, like the BOA
Legendary
cloaks.
Oh yeah.
Like the heirloom cloaks. Like you
Oh
can spend
yeah,
points and you can upgrade them like that. Like if we could use justice points or valor points in Wrath to upgrade our tier, so like we get a 372 heroic piece, and then we spend 2k valor, and then we get an extra 6 eye levels on it. Like something like that type of system I like. But the Warforged is just like a random chance to have an extra eye level attached to it. Is that right? That one I don't know. I like having that choice, like the random stuff is just like the loot from Alakir or whatever, like the belts and the necks and the boots, like all those that have the random stats on them. Like I don't care for that type of system, and it kind of reminds me of that. So
yeah, I mean, but you did get that in MOP, and if we was in a final patch state, what you're saying we would get, where you can upgrade like any item. I can't remember the item level. Over a certain item level, like I think you had to be blue, probably like 463, something like that. I'm guessing more like heroic 5-man quality. And then you could upgrade it twice for like 8 item levels each or some shit.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
But that weren't, I don't think, until the final patch. So like you would be able to do that. But what Rihani was talking about is where a boss drops an item and it could randomly proc Thunderforged in Throne of the Thunder. And it would it would just be an increased item level from the word go.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that would be cool. The more I think about it, I'm like, if Magmaw dropped like a 379 item level and you started off your raid night getting like an epic Titan Forge or whatever piece of loot, then hell yeah, like that'd be kind of cool.
Oh, sorry,
weapon.
Nick said it was 4. Sorry, I thought it was 8 item levels. Oh, maybe I was thinking 8 item levels in total, and it was 4 item levels. Yeah. But yeah,
I don't like the pure RNG of it. I think if it has a chance to roll like that is cool, but like if you're also subsequently have a system that'll allow you to over time upgrade to the max possible, so you're not just left to pure slots RNG of, well, I just never got the good version of the gear. I think having a way to be able to upgrade eventually is kind of just better. In that sense.
And that's how I don't know how that would sit.
System?
Well, that's the thing with what he said. Like, that's how I don't know how it would sit with the community today, where everyone there can't be RNG. There can't be everyone wants bad luck protection for everything. I mean, fuck me, people was crying out for bad luck protection for archaeology. It's like, fuck off. Yeah, like you didn't get it. Unlucky. Like, what do you want me to do? That is like the point we are at in Classic, where it's like, well, no, everyone should be able to get full bis. Everyone should have been able to get Zimrock. Whereas I really, maybe I should just play retail and fuck off and stop playing Classic. I like that randomness. It's like, shit, Runa Reorigination dropped. Fucking like Thunderforged. Oh my god, like that is huge. We might never see one again. It's almost like legendary quality. I don't know. For me, that makes raiding exciting, and I wouldn't be upset to not get a full set of Thunderforged gear, because it would be unrealistic to get that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, I'm just rambling.
I think it's kind of cool because the version we have in MOP is a very small increase. Like you get, I think it's like 6 in Throne of Thunder, and then I'm not sure if it's 6 in Siege of Orgrimmar as well, or if it's more. But it's like a little serotonin boost, but it doesn't really have that much of an impact. It'll definitely increase your DPS, but it won't be like huge game breaking. But what I don't like is the Legion system where you could Titan Forge 40 item levels. Like, oh, I got my best piece, but it was only a Warforge 15 item level, so better luck next week,
Yeah. Yeah, no, no one would ever change my mind. I do. I like the Thunderforged, Warforged. But yeah, I mean, if it was that ridiculous where it's so game breaking, it's like, well, you might as well not turn up to raid unless you've got, the best possible version of it. Yeah, that's not quite as good. But people would complain still. They'll be like, why are you only passing 60s? Oh, it's because I've not got full Thunderforged gear like number one has.
Right.
Like, yeah, sure, mate. That's exactly what the problem is.
The thing with Cata that kind of didn't steer me away from it, but it kind of made me nervous was just how much shit we can do to our loot now. We've got gems, we've got enchants, now we've got reforging, we've got transmog. It's like when a new item drops now, it's like, fuck me, I got to spend 30 minutes just trying to like get everything ready for it. Whereas in Classic, you would get an enchant, your gear's fucking good to go. So then if we would add like something like this on top of that to like increase the eye level, then I don't know. Like it was
Well,
cool,
they do get rid of
but
reforging, but
yeah.
Go back to Classic era, fuck stick.
I know. Get rid of jewel crafting. Get rid of the gems. Like fuck the gem system.
I mean that's been a struggle
Seven
for
gold.
Blizzard for a long time, where they want somebody to be able to just look at something, say yes, it's an upgrade, and equip it generally. But yeah, I mean with gems and enchants and stuff, it's a little harder. But with reforging and stuff, it makes it even more a little difficult on the spot.
Install Reforge Lite.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you go up, you press one button, it's like, oh, look, I'm on 8% hit and 26 expertise. Awesome, right. I'm ready to raid. Yeah, it is.
To go.
It ghost strikes me as someone who don't use Reforge Lite. He sits there with fucking pen and paper and works it all out.
It. Yeah.
Long division.
I've got that.
yeah. He has to show his workings out to his missus, how he got hit capped.
I mean, I was just complaining about it, but that is something that I was saying on stream the other day, that it's part of the game for me. I don't use Reforge Lite, and I do kind of like sitting there going, oh, well, if I reforge my crit into haste for this piece, then I can get spirit from mastery on this piece. I do kind of like it. So like I was
Playing 40 chess over here.
yeah. I was being a little cheeky, like complaining that it takes 30 minutes after I get a new piece, but I do kind of like it at the same time.
That's fair. All right, cool. Well, I mean, unless anyone's got anything to add on the mop part of the conversation, we can call it a success. Only being 3 hours 26 minutes.
Holy.
Yeah, not bad.
Feels weird.
Yeah, I mean, well, you just have to come back for another 3-hour session twice, Rihani, and then you put your monthly quota in.
Oh, well, there was something that Rihani was kind of talking about that you kind of already see now, but it becomes even more of a thing in MOP, and that's tank damage getting a little out of control, and some people not liking that, and thinking maybe it should be turned down or tuned down.
Okay.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I could have predicted that answer. But no, I mean, it does. Obviously, tanks do. It does very much go towards a more. I don't want to say retail, but yeah, definitely MOP is the start of how retail tanks perform. More so than Cata. DK gets the sort of the pre-MOP treatment. But yeah, your tank, even from my understanding, even in raids, in Dragonflight, which I haven't done any. But your tanks are trying to they're not only trying to put out big damage, but they are also trying to sort of sustain themselves, so the healers get to focus on the group, and then even healers is the other way. Yeah, you're expected to do damage as a healer. It's just it turns into a very different play style for both of those roles. I like it personally. That's why I love Brewmaster Monk, because I love the fact that I can go in and do big damage. I can do big healing. Well, big absorbs, but it shows us healing. And being the tank, it just makes you feel good while you're playing it. I think it's quite cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Go probably wants you to have to kite away with entangling roots and then bandage.
Hell yeah. Like, rogues having recoup right now, bro? Like, no, I liked watching rogues struggle, have to run away, line of sight, bandage. Like, yeah. Like, fuck your self-healing on classes that are DPS. Like, no.
Well, you're messing around, joking a little bit here, but man, I played a little bit of Mythic Plus as a tank in Shadowlands, and that whole experience was just kiting. Like, you went in, ripped threat, and then you were kiting. Like, that's not a way to play the game either.
No.
So maybe you want to have that classic Shadowlands, so you can go and tank a little bit. Go.
Never tank unless there's a boomy tank, the Panzerkin. Give me that expansion, and I'll tank.
Well, you are Moonfire spamming a lot in Legion and in Shadowlands, so you could probably make work with that.
I'm looking forward to the day I get to see Go play a class that isn't well, not even a class, a spec. I'm looking forward to the day I see him play anything that isn't a balanced druid. And when his mind's blown when he's on a different class and he's like, man, these do actual damage. Like, this is crazy. Who would have thought?
I've got a level 25 mage right now. I'm gonna have to burn that rested experience off tonight as soon as we're done. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Yeah, nearly. All right, guys. Well, look, let's sign off. That was awesome. Really good chat. Really broad chat. I mean, I feel like we've covered a lot of things in a short space of time, which is awesome. So, Rihani, where can people find you? And just in case anyone wonders, their channels. So, Rihani's YouTube, Go's YouTube, and Jugs' is Twitch, all in the description. So
yeah, where can they find me? Well, I think you outlined it pretty well there. You can find me on YouTube. I primarily make, let's say, guide content. I'm a tank player, of course. So if you want to have really in-depth information about tanking, then make sure to head over to my channel. I've done both Blood DK and Prompt Warrior. And a little bit more is on the way as well with both other specs, and also how to further optimize your Blood DK. I am currently only on YouTube, but I am thinking about setting up some little streaming and whatnot. But that's gonna have to wait a little bit. I'm trying to get that right, to get a little studio going. So I don't have to hide away in another friend's apartment whenever I want to stream and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for that as well if you wanna get a little bit more of me.
And you can also find Rihani on the Week's End Tavern. Just dropped a new episode. Shout out Subtle and his co-host. So yeah, search for Week's End Tavern on YouTube. Find that podcast, and that was like a 2.5 hour show. I want to say that was their longest episode.
3 hours even. We are the blood cake buds, Subtle and I. So we've made a commitment to every 9 episodes I'll be back there. So check out Subtle's channel as well.
Awesome. And Jugs, yeah. Sorry, Go. You do your bit. I'll sit here and carry on leveling on Dragonflight.
And then, yeah, Jugs has also been on another podcast, Countdown the Classic, if you want to hear more of his takes and more of his experience on the race to World First for Tier 11. But you can also find Jugs where at?
Yeah, pretty much just, stream Twitch. Pretty much right now it's just kind of farm raids, which may or may not be the most exciting thing. Other than that, sometimes it might go a little dark when we're working on phase, or not phase, but I guess T12 prep. So as much as I'd love to stream some of that stuff, you can't really until the race is over. But yeah, generally just Twitch if you want to see some split farms and stuff like that. But who knows, maybe catch me on some of these other podcasts, or as a returning guest.
Absolutely. Oh, always welcome back here, both of you. Always welcome back here. I thought it was absolutely amazing that I had to do 0 effort to get anyone this week. I'll take that every day of the week. Cool, and go. Right, so we'll call that a day. If anybody wants to find me, no, go on, go.
I'm on YouTube. Sometimes I do Twitch as well. So if I'm ever leveling this mage, it'll probably be on Twitch. YouTube's reserved for balanced druid stuff, raiding. I've been streaming my raid prog, 10-man raid prog. All your balanced druid info that you are looking for Season of Discovery, even though those videos don't do too well. It doesn't seem like there's that much interest inside, but the Cata video is still doing pretty well. So all your Cata info, SOD info, you might be able to go back if there's ever like a Wrath era and find some Wrath information there too. So yeah, find all your boomy needs on Classic Go at YouTube.
Cool, and apparently you find me on Twitch. So if you want to find me, I'll be on Twitch in about 18 months again, I reckon.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it there. Cheers, guys. Jugs, Rihani, thanks for coming on. Really, really good talk. We'll definitely get you back on. I mean, it'd be great, Jugs. Well, actually, both of you, to be fair, it'd be great to get you both on for after tier 12 as well. So like the week after tier 12, we'll check in, see how we're all doing. But I'm sure between now and then, I'll be calling one of you at least.
Sure. Yeah.
It sounds great. It was good to be on here and a good time every time. So I'll be looking forward to coming back on at some point.
Cool.
Yeah, same for sure. And if you need a DPS warrior main for any talks around that, I'm also available.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh yeah. Jugs is on. No. Is your warrior on Mancrook?
No.
Full switch.
I full sent Faralina.
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
All right, awesome. Well, look, guys, we'll leave the Mancrook abandoner to go and cry into his Faralina tears. I mean, come on, Mancrook's banging. Why would you go anywhere? It's not
true.
I mean, it's okay. I think the competition's a bit more fierce on Faralina, isn't it? Though, let's be fair.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll see you on show on Saturday. Go. We doing one on Saturday?
Yeah, I was thinking about it for tonight, but you had such good ideas for talking points that we could maybe start looking at what's it called? Phase 2? So like the ZAZG patch, and get some information about what's to be expected from that.
Oh yeah, we'll do it on Saturday. Yeah, sounds good to me. All right.
Yeah.
Nice one. All right, guys. Well, good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Leave it running for a couple of seconds because YouTube sucks.
But Twitch is amazing. Shout out Twitch Primes on Twitch.
Twitch Prime.